All right. We are live. All right.
All right, yeah, here we go.
Oh, hold on.
Everyone can just stare at my face.
Yeah. I don't think we have any watchers yet, but yeah, they can all just stare at your face real quick. All right. Hold on 1 second here. All right, we're on Kumu now too. All right, so let's go ahead and start the show. What's up, Waldo?
What is up?
Hi to everybody out there. Como estas? Thank you guys for joining us. If you guys happen to be watching us on what YouTube
Something
or yeah,
something.
Twitch or one of those, you know what I mean? Shout out to you guys out there. Shout out sa lahat ng mga tao dyan sa Kumu. TT Sleeper, that sounds crazy. RR Miranda, Tara Girl, Ray Ray, Musta. Hi, how are you? Welcome to Kumu. Make sure you add me. Make sure you add Ninja Iceberg also. Um, yeah, this is the Hub 408, episode 156. Let's
Yeah, it's been a little bit a while. Life happens, So
about a
we've
month.
been kind of
We've been gone for about a
about
month, right?
just about yeah.
Where are you broadcasting from? What location is that right there?
I
Hi,
don't even
Leia.
remember. I don't remember some random picture that I found.
Oh, I thought it was from a I don't know, like
No,
an
this
anime.
is fake. It's all fake. No, I don't know where I got it from.
Very good, very
I don't
good.
know what it is.
Well, how are you, bro? How's everything?
Good. Just kind of a long week. We can get into it a little bit, but yeah, I'm just a little bit tired. Today was kind of a weird day for me
Hmm.
where I was just kind of resting, but also working, but also resting. So yeah, just
How has your month been since we haven't seen each other for about a month, Waldo? Hi, Faye.
uh, I don't know, just basically the same.
Mm.
I got my I got the new booster shot, COVID booster shot.
Oh, hold up! I didn't
The
even know.
Yeah, dude.
What's this new concoction that you've you know what I'm
the
saying?
the the new bivalent COVID shot. It's supposed to work against the Omicron strain, and you can get it now if you want.
I think I'm
Um,
gonna get it. I think I'm gonna get
yeah,
it because man, I think we predicted this about a year ago, almost like, dude, we're gonna be in this for the long haul, right? I mean,
yeah. It's probably gonna be like a flu shot or something.
yeah, yeah.
You're
Oh,
gonna be doing it.
and flu shots are now available too, right? It's
Yeah, yeah.
flu
You can.
shot season. Hi, Jake. Musta.
Yeah, it's flu shot season. I've been seeing that some people are saying don't get both the COVID shot and the flu shot at the same time. So stagger them if you
Ah,
can. The biggest reason why I got the COVID bivalent booster was because my company had a my company went to Disney World this past week, so that's where I
nice,
was.
nice.
Just
Talk
chilling
about.
and chilling in humid, sunny Florida.
I was gonna say, when's the last time you've been to a Disney type setting? I guess.
Like a Disney thing.
Yes.
honestly, the last time I was in Disneyland was when I was still working at Disney. Because I mean, look, honestly, the it is so expensive going to Disneyland, Disney
Tell me
World.
about. Well,
It is
I was gonna say,
ridiculous.
what's the one item where you're like, God damn, that's how much it cost? Like, how much would a beer cost? How much is a soda? Because I would just want a soda.
Um,
So
yeah,
like a
yeah.
$10 Coke.
No, well, I mean, the food wasn't too outrageous, right? Like
Mm,
I mean, the one outrageous thing I saw, I was in Epcot Center. I saw like a Blue Moon, a beer was like $9, and I'm like, okay, well,
that
that's
sounds kind of
kind of
regular.
expected. Yeah, it sounds kind of expected. Yeah, so it's not outrageous. One of the meals that I bought, one of the dinners that I bought was like $30.
Mm,
That was definitely not worth $30. I mean, don't get me wrong, the food is good. The food was
$30
really
plate,
really good, but it was
right?
a $30 plate, and I was like, yo,
What did it
if
consist of?
it was meatloaf, it was a sampler. It was a meatloaf, it was pot roast and fried chicken.
Hey, that sounds hella good though.
It
That
is, dude. It is legit good. We were in
okay.
Hollywood Studios,
All
and
right.
we ate at this place called the 50s Primetime Diner. So it's actually really interesting. It's set up like a 50s TV set, like a kitchen from a
Oh,
50s TV set. So if you look up, it's like it
with
looks
the
like
lights.
yeah, it looks like you're inside a studio and the walls are all faked. So you're in
Awesome.
this restaurant and it's all sectioned off like a TV set, like from like Leave It to Beaver or some shit like that, right?
Oh,
So
that's
it kind of
badass.
looks like that, kind of feels like that. It's got that kind of vibe. So it's kind of cool. But
Hmm.
yeah, the food that dish was like $30. Everything was about $25, $30 there, and I'm like,
That's
okay,
not too bad,
it's
right?
not again not outrageous, but it's fine, you know. So
Just like what you
um,
said, kind of expected, right?
it's kind of expected, like, but honestly, the most expensive thing was actually just getting into the park. I
Mm.
paid for, in this instance, because we had free time. My company didn't like buy us anything for the one day I was in Hollywood Studios, and so me and some coworkers decided to go and take a half day. We were only there for a half day. It's still $110 for a half day.
Wow.
So
Mm.
yeah, I'm just like, that is ridiculous, you know? And ever since I worked at Disney, I was like, man, I don't think I'll ever go back to Disneyland unless I work for them again, because it is so expensive. When I was working for Disney, I had a silver pass. You
Hmm.
get free admission plus
Okay.
3 other people. Okay. I could take 3 other people with me for free any time of the year.
That's a
Okay.
beautiful. That's a
Yeah.
beautiful perk right there. That's
Right.
wonderful. Yeah. Hell yeah.
And if you live at one of the hotels were like 50% off.
Oh
So
wow. Okay. I
yeah,
dig that.
so
Okay.
yeah, exactly. So I'm like, I don't think I could ever like pay full price for Disneyland ever again. You know, the only reason why I did this was because the rest of my stay was paid for. You know,
Mm,
like
nice.
we had catered breakfast, catered lunches. The one day we spent in Epcot for our scavenger hunt, it was paid for. You know, the flight was
Mm,
paid for. The Uber rides were paid for. You know, from airport to park and park to airport, everything was paid for. We had a company card that they let us spend whatever on whatever. You know, it was like so we had a limit. It was like $200, and I was talking to the CEO. I was like, "Yo," while we were walking around Hollywood, Hollywood Studios, I was like, "Yo, can I just? I know that we're supposed to spend it on food and snacks and whatnot, but can I, in theory, buy a custom lightsaber? The $200-300
mm,
lightsabers?" And
mm.
my CEO was like, "No, no, that's." And then she thought about it for a second, and she's like, well, we are just giving you this money to spend, on stuff.
Yeah.
And if you don't spend it on food and you spend it on that, I mean, it's already money that we were expecting you to, that we were going to give you to spend on like food and stuff like that. But if you decide to not eat, I mean, I guess that's on you.
Now, when they're giving you these funds, is it like a card? Do they deposit it to you guys? Is it cash?
So it's like a virtual card kind of thing.
Mm.
I guess you could think of it as kind of like a gift card,
Mm.
like a Visa gift card. It's kind of like that, you know.
Okay.
So that's what we're using, and we were spending. I didn't spend that much money. I didn't use it to buy a lightsaber. Like, come on, that's crazy, right? I did.
A collector like me, I could be
Okay,
broke for
look,
one day.
look. I
I
thought
could
about
not
it,
eat for
right?
one day. Yeah, yeah.
I thought
Okay.
about it, but I was like, I don't know where I would put this lightsaber. I did not have a bag. I brought a duffel bag. It was definitely not
Mm.
big enough to fit that, you know?
Mm.
And I would have no idea where to put it. I mean, logistically speaking. And I, I, I was just joking around, but in theory, I could have if I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I mean, I didn't really buy anything. I mainly bought food and stuff like that. At the same time, we were we were there. Epcot had this thing, their food and wine festival. So I spent money on that. Walking around, having some food from all the little booths and whatnot. It was pretty dope.
What was
The
the
food
best
was
thing?
actually really good.
I was gonna ask because I did see your feed. Hi, Marjorie.
Yeah,
How are you?
yeah.
What's up, Marjorie? Waldo's talking about his adventure at
Disney World.
Disney World. So yeah,
Yeah.
what was the best thing that you had at Disney World?
Um,
Because that pot roast combo sampler that you said,
it was
I
really
think that
good, but
I think that's almost a $60 plate, right? I mean, I would,
well, the portions was worth $30.
that's
Yeah,
what I was
yeah.
gonna
It
say.
wasn't.
Yeah.
It was not a
What
ridiculous
up, Jay
portion.
Cuervo? What's up, man?
One of the other guys got the fried chicken, and I swear to God, it was like half a chicken that they give you, like fried chicken. It was
Mm.
like half fried chicken. They cut it up, into all the little pieces and whatnot. But oh my God, it was so much food. Like a couple of people got that, and I was just like, yeah, that is worth $30. You know. So, um, but I think honestly, one of the best things I had that I wasn't expecting to be good was this. I was over in the in one of the little kiosks for Greece, and they were
Mm.
selling for the Food and Wine Festival this thing called a griddle cheese, right? It's like a small slice of halloumi cheese, and
Mm-hmm.
it looks like they fry it in a griddle, so it's nice and like crispy on the outside, and then they put like honey on the outside on top of that, and then they put like
Oh,
pistachios all over it,
oh, that's my
and
shit right there.
and yeah, so it was a really good mixture of like sweet and savory, you know, and then you
Mm-hmm.
got the crispy like cheese on the outside.
Oh,
It was pretty amazing.
oh.
Yeah, I posted it on my Instagram, not my main, on my food one, because I have one just for food. I figured I
Go ahead
take a
and
lot
plug
of
that right
food
now.
pictures. Okay, if anyone wants to look at some of the food pictures that I took, it's called "Where's Waldo Eating?" One word.
Very good IG page, in my opinion. You've been running
A
that
lot
page
of
now for a while, so
for a while,
yeah.
just putting, because I used to post everything on main, and then I
Mhm.
discovered the wonders of separate accounts, and I was just
Yes.
like, oh shit, let me make another account and just post food pics, So,
Although one of your posts, it seemed, I don't know if you meant to make it look kind of artsy.
oh, the weird filters and stuff.
Yeah, I was like,
Okay,
what? What is going on there?
so I posted that, and I didn't notice that it kind of weirdly automatically put that on there, and I
Yeah.
posted that like 2-3 times to delete it, and finally I got it to work. I think there was something going on with Instagram. I know that they were shut down for a little bit because they
Mhm.
were beta testing some stuff, and I think they fucked something up.
I
So
got you.
yeah, if you go back on there and look at if you look at my feed again, I re-uploaded everything again, and it looks fine, because it was like pixelated or something, and I
Hmm.
was just like, this, it looks stupid. Like you can't see what it is. I
Hmm.
was just like, that's kind of pointless. So yeah, I re-uploaded that. The paneer was really good. The raclette, I've never had raclette, like actual
What is
raclette.
raclette? Tell the folks at
Raclette.
home what raclette
So
is.
raclette is this big. It's the Swiss cheese where they melt
Oh,
it, and then when they melt it, and so they usually it's in a big wheel, right?
Oh,
and then they melt like they it's cut flat on the
yes.
on the wheel side.
Oh, is
They
that where they
melt
scrape
it
it?
and then they scrape it down on
Yes.
something. Yeah.
Oh, so what? Where did the cheese? Where did that go on top of?
So to accompany that cheese, they gave me some ham, some pickles, potatoes, and some bread. And and they scraped it on top of that. So I'm like, oh, this is really good, and it's really good. It's really tasty stuff.
So you made
Um,
yourself like a little sandwich. Well, you could have made yourself a
like a
sandwich, I
little
guess.
bruschetta kind of thing or
Yeah.
sandwich. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The bread was kind of meh. It was actually kind of dry. The baguette
How
that
was
they
the
used.
cheese though? Because the cheese
The
is a
cheese was
star.
good. It was good. It smells like terribly,
But yes.
but it tastes amazing. So
Oh,
yeah, it was legit. So I was very impressed with with pretty much all the food that we had at Disney World. I think the first night we had the food that we had there was kind of it's okay,
mm,
like they made some fried rice and I was not too much of a fan of it, but whatever. I was hungry. It was nighttime. I had just flown in from San Jose or Salt Lake City connecting flight. And I was just
mm,
like, fuck it, I'm gonna eat whatever we have. And I ate some of it. It was not great, but whatever.
mm.
But some of the other stuff that they had like pot stickers and uh, they had like these beef skewers, chicken skewers, coconut shrimp, whatever. Really good stuff. The food in general is really really good. We stayed at the Disney Yacht Club.
I saw that.
It
Very
it
bougie
sounds
looking.
yeah, it sounds and looks as fancy. I mean, it looks as fancy as it sounds. It was ridiculous. Like I so it was weird. Like I kind of lucked out in having a very like spacious room because I went
Nice.
into another person's room just to see what it looked like,
Mhm.
just to compare. Because I was like, yo, my room looks ridiculously big. If you look at the
Oh,
if you look
dope,
at
dude.
if you looked at it, right, there's this hallway that I walk in. And you make this left, and it's a hallway into the room. The bathroom's on
Hmm.
the left. You got this big room. I got one bed that's California King. Other people, so everyone
Beautiful, beautiful
everyone
bed.
got their everyone got their own room. You know, all of us got our own room, but some people in their rooms were twins, or not twins, but like two full size beds or two whatever
Hmm.
beds.
Hmm.
And I was just like, oh, that's kind of weird.
Hmm.
Like it's not that big of a deal, but whatever. And then I go into my room and I'm like, holy shit, this room is gigantic. I got this big, like king size California king. I don't know, you know. I got this couch. Other people had the couch, but I got the couch in this. It's just so much room. And then you go to the back, and I'm on the first floor. I open the back door, and it opens right onto the lake that it's right next to, and
Oh, beautiful.
it's an incredible view.
Mm.
So I honestly think that I had like one of the cooler rooms, but the problem is that because this hotel is so friggin' huge, I'm literally at the other end of the hotel. Like I have to walk the furthest away from like
Oh, from
everybody. It is
everybody.
such
Yeah.
a far walk. The walk is so far. The park itself, the resort itself is just enormous, right?
Mm.
But the fact that I had to walk like for days inside a park, get to the hotel, and then walk for days to my room. Killer. That was just ridiculous.
It's like they should have had
Um,
not a trolley. They should have had something to like, right? Like you needed a golf cart or something, right? To go
like
to
if
your
they
room
had
or
like one of
something.
those, if they had one of those people movers like they do at the airport, that would
Yeah,
have been
there you go.
amazing. Yeah.
There you go.
So yeah, that was pretty amazing. So yeah, the room was pretty amazing. All the food was pretty amazing. The actual parks were really fun, honestly. Like Hollywood, we my goal honestly at Hollywood was to go to Star Wars and just check it out, right? Like
Yeah.
it is it is very impressive with the amount of detail that they put into this area of the park. Like all the other parks are definitely have like a lot of detail and a lot of like specificity to it.
Hmm.
But yeah, I was just very impressed with Galaxy's Edge or whatever they call it. And yeah, we spent pretty much most of the day walking around the park. We went on Star Tours. There was like no line.
Nice.
We went to dinner at the 50s primetime dinner place, and
Mm.
then after that, because the wait for Rise of the Resistance and Smuggler's Run were so long that we decided to go after we ate dinner, and that was actually the best time. Like wait times were super low at that point. I mean,
What
it was
time does
like
the park close, by the way?
when we were there, they closed at 9, and
Oh wow, that's
yeah,
early.
pretty early. I was curious about that as well. I didn't get a chance to ask anybody. It's like, is that a normal time or not? But they closed
Mm.
at 9, so we finished dinner and we ran over to Rise of the Resistance, did that, and then we were like, maybe we can do Smuggler's Run. We'll see if we can get Smuggler's Run in under the time period as well. And luckily, we were able to get in and do that ride.
Nice.
Rise of the Resistance, impressive. So it's actually it's like the whole thing's an experience, right? Like what happens is, and I don't really want to. It's kind of weird. I don't want to spoil it. Or you could go to YouTube and look at the videos of what people do and check out what the ride is like, right? But part of the line while you're waiting for the ride is because I had seen 0 videos of it.
Mhm.
I had no idea what to expect. So the first thing we do is you run into this transport, right? While you're waiting in line, then you run to this transport and you're like, oh, I guess this is part of the ride, I suppose. And I thought it was gonna be like a Star Tours kind of thing because they were like, hold on to the rails, right? But you don't really feel anything. You know,
Mm.
it's kind of moving, but you're not really sure what's happening. So you go in and things are happening. You know, you're fighting TIE fighters. It's set during the new trilogy, so you got like Oscar Isaac showing up, and he's like
Mhm.
talking to the Mon Calamari guy, and blah 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 blah. And then it's like, oh, we get captured by Star Destroyer, right? And the door opens up again, and it's a completely different setting, right? So the same door that we went in to the transport on is the same
Mhm.
door that opens out, and we're like, wait, how's that possible? Like the shape of the transport is all like it's not an elevator, right? But we definitely moved inside everything. And
So
so
probably
when
while you guys didn't know, it probably maybe the room shifted,
maybe
maybe.
the room definitely shifted somehow, right? But we
Yeah.
were trying to logic our way through it. But we were just like, okay, this is kind of amazing how they hid all that stuff, right? So they pop that open, they pop that door open, and when you see like you're in the hangar bay of a Star Destroyer, and that's where you see all the stormtroopers show up. I don't know if you've seen like promo pics of Rise of the
Yep,
Resistance,
I've seen a
but
little bit of it.
you see all those guys, all those stormtroopers there, right? They're all lined up, and you're kind of like, oh, this is kind of crazy, you know. And again, I still had no idea what to expect. So we were just like, all right, this is kind of cool. We take our pictures, yada, yada, yada. And then we have to get into line again and we continue on. And we're sitting there like, holy shit, that was just the middle of the line because you still have to line up. But it's still part of the line management system. It's like, but they give you a little bit of a break. They probably give the rest of the line in front of you to like move on to the next part of the ride.
Right.
So they do a little bit of distraction. You take your pictures with these stormtroopers, you line up again, and then when you line up and when you get to the end of that line, they send you into a holding cell, right? And you're kind of like, well, what happens here? What's going on with the holding cell? And you look around and there's nowhere else to go, right? It's a holding cell. There's literally nowhere else to go. And then what happens is the side of the wall gets cut open, and that's when you make your escape. The resistance is breaking you out, and you have to escape the Star Destroyer, and that's when the ride actually starts. You get into your cart and you go. And I was like, holy shit, dude. All of that was still the line.
So you're in line for almost like what, 10 minutes maybe?
Maybe about 15, 20 minutes. We
Dang.
were towards the because like I said, we were towards the end of the night. The line was actually really short. But because they did all this stuff, it actually felt like we were just it was just we were entertained throughout while waiting in line. And I was like, wow, that's just really impressive. You know?
It kind
and
of
then the ride
beats the mundane thing of just, all right, we're in line just talking. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
yeah, they really enhanced the line experience, which is like mind blowing to me. And then the ride itself was impressive. Like, I don't want to give too much away in case people want to, like, actually experience it. But because I was so confused with what was going to happen, that when you actually got to the ride, it's like, wow. And then the ride itself is super impressive. Like, just the stuff that's going on and what's happening. And I came out of that just thoroughly impressed. My face was just lit up, and I was like, wow, I can't believe I was actually just impressed with the ride,
Your geek level or your nerddom
Yeah.
level was off the charts. Then
Off the charts. Just not because of the content, but just because the actual, like, just the whole experience. I was just like blown away by it. And it's definitely something that I do recommend, if at all possible, to go and check out, just because it is an entire experience, the ride, like including the line, which I was just like, what the fuck is that?
So are you in there for like what, like about 30 minutes? Like kind of a 30-minute ordeal? Yeah.
Kind of, yeah. It was well, yeah, because there is a line that I mean, there is an actual line, right? Like there's breaks in the line, but yeah, it's about 30 minutes, start to finish. What if the line's short? Otherwise, you're probably in there for a much longer period of time. So yeah, I was really impressed with that. And then the next day, we went to Epcot to do our scavenger hunt. And after we finished that, we were free to like roam around, and we were able to get on the Guardians ride. And let me tell you something.
Now this is my shit. I love Marvel. So let's
the Guardians ride in Epcot, like, so it's not the Tower of Terror like it is in Disneyland, right? Like, they retrofitted the Tower of Terror in Disneyland to be the Guardians ride, where they just, it's a drop ride, right?
Okay.
No, this is an actual roller coaster. And so you're going through it, there's all the stuff that you get to look at while you're walking through the line, which is kind of cool. You get to see models of stuff, you get to see costumes. It's a nice experience. And then you walk into this thing, and you have like Glenn Close's character, Nova Prime, talking to you. So you're herded into a big room, and Nova Prime's talking to you, yada yada yada. You find out what the plot of this ride is. The Guardians show up; they're talking to you. Basically, apparently, what happens is this MacGuffin gets stolen by a Celestial. He goes back in time to destroy Earth before humans can show up, because I guess humans are not worthy of living. So they go back in time to go blow it up, right? To go destroy Earth and destroy humanity. That's the plot of the whole ride. Nice. After you watch this video, and after you watch all this stuff, you continue on the ride onto the roller coaster. Now, the roller coaster described to me, was that it's like Space Mountain, right? If people are familiar with Space Mountain,
yes,
it's a roller coaster where you're basically in the dark, right?
Mm-hmm. You're supposedly it simulates you being in space.
In space, yes, right. So it's basically that. And if you're familiar with the Star Wars retrofit of Space Mountain, the ride is kind of like that, where you're going through Space Mountain, and you have like videos playing, and the story's playing along as you're riding through and experiencing the whole thing. But here's where it blew my mind. Okay, is that you're going through. You're in a train of carts, right? Like there's like 5 or 6 different carts or whatever. And you're going through, you're thinking it's just a regular roller coaster, right? You got this train of carts, and you're going through. And as it starts, it hasn't even started yet. What happens is it's going through its story, and then all of a sudden the carts, they're kind of like, they're lined up like this, and they start doing one of these, and you're kind of like, oh, that's kind of cool if they can spin, right? So you're not really sure what's going on, but So here's how it starts, okay? And this is what blows my mind. It gets to the start of the roller coaster, and we had just made a U-turn. So when we get to the start, we made a U-turn, and then the carts turn around, and we're facing a wall. And because you made a U-turn, right? There's a wall right here in front of us now. So I'm like, oh, that's kind of interesting. I wonder how this ride is going to work. Are we going to go down or something? I just couldn't really wrap my head around what was happening.
Mm.
And then they were like, oh, no, not. They were just like, oh, we need to go back in time. And then when they were like, oh, when they said we're going to go back, you're facing forward and you shoot backwards. And then Tears for Fear starts playing. And then Tears for Fear start playing, right? Everyone wants to rule the world.
Badass, dude. Okay.
And as you're flying through space, the whole thing is going like, from side to side because the thing rotates. Seriously, I had like tears in my eyes. The experience of this ride was just so fucking amazing.
Okay.
Dude, it's just because you're going through this ride, you see the battle that's going on between the Guardians and the Novas and the Celestial trying to save Earth.
So you see it happening all around you. So
you're seeing it happen all around you on these screens and stuff like that, and you're flying through this space, this darkened space. The carts are doing, they're timed, they're choreographed to the videos that are playing. So this whole, like the first half of the ride, I was so overwhelmed with what's going on because there's so much happening, right? The carts are spinning around. You have like the Guardians fighting people, lasers are shooting. It's so overwhelming. And then after in the middle of the ride, it dawns on me what's actually happening, right? Like how it's being choreographed with the video and the music and all that kind of stuff. It just kind of like I had the biggest grin throughout the whole thing. As I was riding the ride, I was just smiling. Like I couldn't stop smiling. It was just so like, holy crap.
It was hitting all your buttons, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, because as a person who's ridden a ton of roller coasters throughout my life, it's like I've always I love roller coasters, but I'm never like wowed, to the point where I'm just like, like if you ever see pictures of me at like Great America, you know how they take pictures of you when you're on, I'm always kind of like, I've got this neutral face on because I'm just kind of like, ooh, I'm just enjoying it,
Yeah.
But this one, I literally had like a grin ear to ear, and I was just like, it's honestly amazing. Because as like I said, as the thing is spinning, I'm looking around. I'm just looking everywhere, just trying to see what's happening. And the thing is just whipping back and forth, and you're like, it's just so cool. It is like the coolest ride I've ever been on. Like it literally blew my mind. Like those two rides, Rise of the Resistance and Guardians of the Galaxy, Cosmic Rewind, were just mind-blowing experiences. Like this in general. So
even though they're two different properties and stuff like that.
Two different properties, two different kinds of rides.
Which one was the one that I'm guessing maybe the Guardians one is the one that really hit your nerd geek buttons where you're just like, holy shit.
Yeah. Yes, barely. Just because of the mixture of the
right.
Yeah, because of the mixture of the the stimuli that was going on. Like I said, not only is the roller coaster going like on a rail, like Space Mountain, but the cars themselves are spinning, right?
That's crazy.
In time with Tears for Fears, everybody wants to rule the world.
Yeah,
it's literally magical. Because dude, seriously, it feels like you're in the movie. I was like, holy, because do you remember the part in the second movie where they're jumping through the portals and stuff like that, and there's like music going on?
Yep,
it's basically that. Because the tunnel that you're going into at first is like this rainbow thing. You hear the first like synthesizer beats of the song pop on, and you're kind of like, oh shit.
Dun, 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 that part.
That opening synth hit, when those notes hit, you're like, that song.
Yeah,
it's a dope song, right? For it's an 80s song, but it's one of those.
And we're 80s kids, so it's gonna hit with
it hits that nostalgia factor. It hits that nostalgia factor, and just like Peter Quill, when he listens to those old songs, it kind of hits something, right? But because it's also a part of this entire experience of the roller coaster, it really just does something to my like lizard brain of just this is dope. It just lit up everything for me.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm afraid I might have said too much already for people who have never been on that ride and who may want to experience it. But seriously, that first jolt was like crack. Seriously, I was amped from the moment that song opens. I was just like, dude, I am in.
Nice.
Yeah.
A quick question: where a lot of these rides, especially the rides that have stuff to do with movies and stuff like that, they'll usually get the actors to come in and do something. So, did you get the entire cast of the Guardians in there, or were they lookalikes?
No.
Stand-in?
It's Chris Pratt, Zoe Saldana,
Oh, beautiful, man.
Bautista. I don't know if like Nova Prime is Glenn Close, right?
Right.
So she shows up.
That's badass.
Terry Crews actually shows up as like a new character, and
Isn't
he's
he,
in it.
Is he a Ravenger?
No, he's one of the Nova guys apparently. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's a Nova guy in this show, or in this ride. Okay. I don't know if they got Bradley Cooper back. They might have. It sounded like Rocket, but I don't know. And Groot. Again, I don't know if they got Groot, but Vin Diesel, but for sure it sounds like them. And like I said, Rise of Resistance had Oscar Isaac show up. Like it was actually him showing up.
That's badass.
There's a part in the beginning of the ride where Daisy Ridley is on there, and she does like a little speech talking about, we need to, you need to join the resistance, yada yada yada. But they did this hologram thing, right, where it looks like an actual hologram, But
the technology's there, basically.
Well, it's a piece of it's obviously a piece of glass that they projected the thing on there, but it looks really good.
Yeah.
Like it looks really, really good. So yeah, she's on there. I think Kylo Ren shows up, but again, you can never be too sure just because there's there's a mask on. What's his name? The guy who plays Hux shows up on there as well. So.
Oh yeah, the pasty white looking dude.
Yeah. The Irish guy.
Yes, there we go.
Yeah, so they do show up in these roles that at least for the ones that I watched or I experienced, they do show up. So yeah, it's nice. It's really good for the immersion, and that's kind of the thing about Disney, right? Is that they want you to be immersed in the worlds that they create. Their workers are not called like, workers or whatever. They're called cast members, right? They're supposed to play a part in your experience. You're a guest at their park, and they're supposed to help you be immersed in their world. Like when I was at
did you feel it? Did you feel like, hey, I feel like I'm in a movie? Did you have
on those rides? Yes, for sure. On those, especially
badass.
like I said for Guardians, because it felt like they ripped it out of the movie somewhere, and they just plopped you into it. It really did feel like that. Hell, even that diner that we were in, that 50s diner, it's supposed to represent like you eating at a friend's house in the 50s. Okay. So even the waitresses, they don't call them waitresses. It's like, oh, this is Cousin Mary, Oh, this is
like do they look like Leave It to Beaver's mom? That type
they
of
look like sort of like kind of like the maid. Actually, kind of look like the maid from. Weirdly enough, they were dressed like kind of like a maid. Like they had like or maybe not a maid, but like what's her name? Alice from Brady Bunch.
I was about to exactly. Well, as soon as you said maid, I was thinking about Alice from the Brady Bunch. So
that's
the white stuff, right?
With a light blue like dress or whatever. So they kind of look like that, and they would tell you like. If you had your elbows on the table, they'll be like, no elbows on the table. They actually kind of got a little mean about that kind of stuff. The phones, they don't call them phones. They call them walkie-talkies. like they don't have menus.
I like
right?
that. I like
They don't
that.
have physical menus. They have QR codes. Like everywhere you go, they're using QR codes right now,
Oh, so you
right?
need a smartphone to
So you
order
need
to do
a
stuff.
phone to order, right? So they'll be like, oh, so for the menu, you just use your walkie-talkie. You just put it on top of this picture right here, and you can get our menu. That's how they said it. They have this whole thing of trying to keep you immersed in the 1950s. So yeah, they'll be like, yeah, just use your walkie-talkie, put it on
And you're
top of
like,
this
bitch, I ain't
picture.
got no walkie-talkie, right? Like, what are you
Yeah,
talking about, right?
yeah. You had to kind of think about it for a second, and then it's like you put it on top of there. You can look at the menu, and once you're done, you put your walkie-talkie away because they don't want you on your phone, I guess, because
They
it's
want you to have
again
that
the
family friend
1950s. Yeah.
experience. Yes.
Right. So
Okay.
you're supposed to be polite in these people's houses, that kind of thing.
Were they all white? Were these white ladies?
Oh, of course. 100%.
All right, go ahead.
Very, very period accurate.
Yes. Okay. Got you. With the hair and everything, these cast members were all dolled up in that way
Well, as
of
much as
how
they
a
could.
19.
As
Yeah.
much as they could. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm not talking about like beehives or anything like that, but they did have
Right.
like the buns and stuff like that. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it was really impressive. And yeah, like I said, they go for that immersion, right? They try to immerse you as much as they can in these worlds. So, so yeah, I definitely felt that in a lot of different ways. But obviously, because I understand that it's all like a meta thing.
Mm-hmm.
I personally couldn't like fully immerse myself, but I did enjoy the effort that they go to make you try to experience what they're trying to convey to you. So I just thought that was really impressive and really fun. Um, let's see, what else was there? Oh, the
Wait. First of
fireworks
all,
show.
how many days were you there?
4 days total, but 1 day to get there, 1 day to leave. So
Okay,
really, just
gotcha.
2 full days, right?
Okay.
Tuesday and Wednesday.
All right, go ahead,
So
continue.
the first day, and so yeah, first day we only did Hollywood Studios, and the second day was pretty much the whole day in Epcot.
Mm.
Um, let's see,
Have you
the
ever been to
Epcot.
Disney World
Never.
before?
This was my first
Okay,
time at
gotcha.
Disney World. Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Okay.
So it was a brand new experience for me. I had zero idea of what to expect. Here's the funny thing. I worked for Disney for a while, had the
Mhm.
free passes, never used it to go to Disney World. Like I could have
Are you
gone.
kind of regretting it that you wasted all that?
No, I don't regret not going there. I just think it's funny that I worked at Disney for a while and went
Yeah,
to
how many years were
Disneyland.
you at Disney, by the way?
Uh,
You was there
uh,
for quite
I want
quite
to
a
say
good
like three
chunk,
or
yeah.
4 years, something like that. Like
Okay,
3 or 4
okay.
years. Yeah, that's a decent amount.
Yeah.
But I
It's
just
not
thought
like
it
you
was.
had a cup of coffee. You was actually there putting in time and effort
Yeah, I
and
was
work.
there. I was there for a bit, and we released a couple games I was on. So.
Hmm.
But I just thought it was funny that of all the years that I've worked at Disney with the free pass, I never utilized it to go anywhere outside of
Ah.
I could have gone to like Paris Disney for free, Hong Kong Disney for free,
Mm,
Disney
mm.
World for free, right? These are all free for me. The only one that's not free, I think China is free too, but I'm not sure about that. But the only one that's not free is Japan because Japan is actually not owned by Disney. They have this weird like law there about foreign entities owning property in Japan. So
Oh wow.
however that worked out, Disney does not directly own Tokyo Disney.
Gotcha.
So they're allowed. That's why they're allowed to kind of do whatever they want. Like so the rides, like they have a lot of the rides that are like mimics of like other rides and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But they also have like characters that you would never see in other parks, right?
Mm,
They
gotcha.
they do their own thing. They can kind of pull off the whole like Kingdom Hearts thing because the thing about Disney branding is that crossovers between different properties, they don't usually allow it, right? Like if you're in Moana, they don't want you interacting with people from Star Wars.
Mm,
Or if you're Cinderella, they don't want you interacting with Sleeping Beauty. right?
Gotcha.
Like each thing is its own self-contained like universe, and they don't want them interacting with each other. But only in very specific cases will they allow it. But in Tokyo, because they have no real say of what's going on, they could do whatever the fuck they want. So it's a different kind of experience. But yeah, I just thought it was funny that it took me until now a company offsite to go to Disney World, and I just thought it was funny. No regrets, no regrets.
I was gonna say though, if you had gone 2, 3, 4 years ago though, would they have had the stuff that you went on already? You know what I'm saying?
If I had gone like maybe 4 years ago, no. No, I think because Star Wars didn't pop up until like a few years ago, and I think Guardians is like pretty new within the past few years. Yeah, within the past few years or something like that. So those two wouldn't have been there, but I probably still would have had an amazing time. It's just that those, like the Ratatouille ride, I didn't get to go on it, but everyone who went on it was like, dude, that is an amazing ride because you actually get to be like a rat running around a restaurant in a kitchen. That's the experience.
Everything's enlarged and you're
yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, and apparently like some of the stuff that you do, like if you run past, like you're scurrying past an oven and flames will shoot out. You can feel the flames. If someone's like
that's cool.
Someone's mopping the floor, you can actually like they'll mop. You'll feel a little spray of water. So it's a very immersive experience there too. I didn't get a chance to go on that ride, but that's probably the one ride I regret not going on is the Ratatouille ride. And I don't know how long ago that one's been around, but yeah, if I had gone much earlier, then I would not have been able to experience those things. I mean, I probably could have just gone to like Magic Kingdom or something like that and hung out there. You know,
what was you doing while the homies were on the Ratatouille ride? What were you doing?
So our group split up, right? Our company kind of split up for a little bit. Some of us basically walked because one of the guys I was with had like a drink around the world passport kind of thing. He wanted to go to every single like pavilion and get a drink from those places.
Nice.
So we went to China. He got like baijiu. They sell baijiu.
What is baijiu?
Baijiu is a Chinese wine that's made from something called sorghum, and it is like vile, right? It is a vile drink. Like,
as in not good.
Yeah, it's vile. It's absolutely vile. It's absolute garbage. But it is like one of the main like Chinese like alcohols that China produces.
Okay.
But it is terrible. It burns. And it tastes like garbage. And it
burns. Was it terrible at Disney World also?
They dilute it. They give it to you in like a solo cup, and they dilute it with like it tastes like coconut a little bit. So they dilute it with like some kind of mixer of some type, but it still sucks. Me being not a drinker, I tried a sip from a friend of mine, and I was just like, wow, this is crap. Everyone else is like, no, it's not too bad. It's not as bad as I remembered. It's like, well, but because they dilute it. But for me, being, you know, I don't like it. I'm just like, oh, it's still bad. So yeah, we walked around, going to all the different countries. He was mainly drinking. Like a bunch of us were drinking and stuff like that. I did not drink, but I was buying like, you know, the food and wine festival stuff, you know. So I was eating as I was walking and enjoying myself, killing time until Guardians. And so other people were doing other things as well. And so we were killing time until nighttime. Because nighttime was we had the fireworks show at Epcot, and right before the fireworks show we had a dessert like party kind of thing where they gave us like desserts. It was really good. The desserts that we had, the best were the strawberry cream puffs and the banana pudding. The banana pudding was really, really good. They had like this Nutella hazelnut bar thing, kind of like a Snickers bar, but using like Nutella. And that was pretty good too. That was pretty good. So yeah, we chilled there for a little bit until the start of the fireworks, and then they took us to the fireworks area because they had it cordoned off for our party.
Oh,
So
nice.
so the fireworks was right in front of. So in the middle of Epcot, there's like this giant lake, right? And they have these barges sitting in the middle of the lake, and that's where they did the fireworks show.
Mm.
And they gave us like the perfect seat. Like we're front row center. We're right on the water. There's a railing right here. There's no one in front of us. We're in our own little section, hanging out, chilling, and perfect view of the fireworks. And honestly, the fireworks show is spectacular.
Oh,
At
wow.
Yeah, because they
A
had like
jaded guy like you was still enthused
yeah,
by
yeah.
some fireworks.
Well, because what they do is so they have like these screens, like they're like these teardrop looking screens on these barges, and they project images on there. And then you also have like sound and music. It's an entire show. They're shooting water everywhere. There's like these moving pillars, spraying water, lights going off, and fireworks are emphasizing like different things of the show. And they go through a bunch of like different IP, Mulan, Moana, and Lion King, blah 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 blah. So they go through all these different things, and it's just this crazy, spectacular, like just this show that they put on. It's really an extravaganza. And it's also the fact that I'm there with my coworkers, like 30 of us, and we're all getting getting really cool, very close. We're all buddies now.
Nice.
And the fact that we didn't have to share it with like anyone else in the
That's
park,
awesome.
it was just really cool. Like we were balling. It felt like we were just ballers.
Wow.
So yeah, that's how Epcot ended. Yeah, it was pretty fun. I weirdly enough, like I have even more stuff to talk about. Like so there are like so those were all the like the Disneyland rides and stuff like that, right? But part of what I guess this is what I do, and I talk a lot, right? I don't know if people notice this about me, but I like to talk to people.
Yeah.
And there's a few times I'm outside, I'm bumming cigarettes off people, and I'm just, having a good time in the smoking section, just hanging out, Every single time I'm like, I went outside, to partake, I chit chat with whoever's there. And a couple okay, let me tell you about some of the conversations I had at Disney World
With
when
some
I just
other Disney goers.
with people that I chit chat with, right? And I think this kind of like, and I think part of it was also an eye opener for my coworkers and for myself, because I don't realize how much I like to talk to people, and how much I like to chit chat with people. I don't really think about it. I just kind of do it, and then I'm just like, okay, whatever, right? But this kind of really like put in my brain that this is kind of something that I like doing, like just getting to know strangers and getting to know their stories and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So the first time I was out there, I was hanging out and I was talking to this dude. I guess he's from he was originally from like New Jersey or some shit. He's a Philadelphia Eagles fan because he had a Phillies hat on. And we were just chit chatting about stuff. And, we were just going back and forth about where we're from, yada, yada, yada. And I was like, I was talking about, I don't know why I even got on this, but I was just like, hey, I really wish that I mean, not that I really wish. I was just like, oh, I haven't been to a Warriors game yet at the new Chase Center. I just casually put that out there, right? And so we had a little talk about it back and forth. And I was like, no, I've been to a Warriors game, at Oakland Coliseum, but I've never been to Chase Center. I've never been to San Francisco to watch a Warriors game. And there's another person out there, and she turns around and she's like, oh, you should definitely go. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah. It's like, yeah, I had to work the finals. Chase Center is an amazing spot. And I was like, oh, you had to work the finals. What do you do?
Yeah.
Turns out this lady is a a talent negotiator. That's what she said, for ESPN. And I'm like, what does that mean? It's like, oh, I basically take care of the talent that goes on air. So she was talking about how, like, so that day it was like it was Monday night. And I guess she was like talking about how she had to like take care of Joe Buck and Troy Aikman that night or something like that. And I was like, or not her, but you know, those are the people that she kind of works with. It's like Joe Buck and Troy Aikman, basically making sure that they're good, right? And I was like, oh, that's really interesting. And you know, when she said that she had to work the final, she was like, yeah, I had to fly between Boston and San Francisco like constantly because you know they were flying back and forth, and that was really hard for her because it's one side of the country to the other side, back to the other side, working the finals. And I'm just like, holy shit. And she basically works with the talent on there. And I thought I was like, wow, that's actually really cool. So we had a pretty good conversation about that. Like the three of us had a really cool conversation about that. She brings up that she had to work the bubble, the NBA bubble.
Yeah.
A couple years ago. And she was like, man, I really wish that there was a crowd there because I was really disappointed that we had no crowd because it's a bubble. Because then people can see how shitty of a person, of a teammate LeBron is. And I was like, really? Like,
oh,
yeah.
wow. She was spilling some tea.
She was spilling some tea. I was like,
all right,
what the fuck?
Okay,
so LeBron apparently is just not a great teammate. Like, he didn't come out for shoot around. He doesn't hang out with his teammates. He kind of just shows up and he treats people like dirt, apparently. Maybe he was just angry that they had to play in a bubble or something. I don't know. It's an extenuating circumstance. I'm not going to say that he's 100% of an asshole, but but apparently during the bubble, he was just a dick. And she was like really sad that people didn't get to see that because it's like, yeah, LeBron's kind of an asshole. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, whatever. I was like, that's cool. But then I was like, okay, as a Warriors fan, how is Steph Curry? And she's like, he is amazing. He is
night and day.
An amazing guy, super nice. And I was like, yes, yes, thank God.
I think the way he's always projected himself, whether on the show with him and his wife or in interviews and stuff, I think you kind of feel genuinely like, hey, that's Steph right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like he seems like a nice guy. He presents himself as a nice guy.
Yes.
So, and I mean, not to say that I expected LeBron to be an asshole or anything. He seems like a nice guy, you know, and some of the stuff that he does for his community is really good, you know.
Right.
But I guess the way he treats like just people around him and other teammates might not be the best. I guess. So he's kind of an asshole that way, I suppose. But I even said, I was like, his PR is amazing because when I think of assholes in the NBA, I don't think LeBron James, you know?
Right.
At this point in time, I'm not really sure who's a huge asshole in the NBA at this current moment, but, you know, there's definitely been a lot of assholes throughout the years in the NBA. So,
well, it kind of just goes to show you that maybe in Steph's case, I'm pretty sure, you know, he goes just as hard. He can trash talk. He can, you know, whatever it is. But I guess with that is you don't necessarily have to be an ass to make it. Like a lot of people didn't like Jordan when, you know, the Jordan Rules book came out and they found out like, hey, this nice guy that, you know, everyone thought he was, blah, blah, blah. No, he was actually a jerk. And when The Last Dance came out, a lot of people were kind of hating
30
on
for 30 and
kind of hating on him for like, well, you know, and I think remember there was even a little bit of remorse on Jordan's part towards the end of that documentary of like, dude, I'm sorry I was an asshole, but I wanted to win. You know what I mean? So you kind of felt that. So I could see that lady talking about like, yo, LeBron is not who he is or whatever. So that's kind of cool that you had
or he changes himself when around certain people, which I mean I get. You know, you're under the public, especially for him, under the public eye since he was like a teenager. You know, coming out of high school.
Yep.
You know, I mean, I kind of get it, but yeah, it was kind of an interesting little behind the scenes like look into ESPN, and I was just like, wow, that's really cool. That's really fascinating. Yeah, one of my other coworkers recently was just like, I think you had the most deepest conversations with people there. I was like, yeah, I guess.
With
I don't know.
strangers, nonetheless.
With
Yeah.
strangers, yeah. So yeah, let me tell you a couple more conversations that I had.
All right.
Like during the, I don't know if you're bored by this or not, but
No, go ahead. Man.
I just thought it was fascinating. Like in Epcot, we were doing a scavenger hunt, and one of the things was we had to go to this ice cream shop and see how many flavors they offered. So my team walked over there, and it was closed for whatever reason. It just wasn't open. And so we were like, how are we going to get, how are we going to get the answer to this trivia? So while one of my teammates was like peeking through the window and counting the stuff on the menu, there was like this family sitting off to the side, a grandpa and his wife with his like kids and grandchildren, just hanging out in front of the area. It was kind of like in a secluded alleyway, so not a lot of people were walking by. It was in the shade, away from the sun, so they're hanging out. And so he starts like, hey, what are you guys doing? Yada, yada, yada. We have a conversation. He talks to us about how he used to be an electrical engineer before he retired, telling us about his work. We tell him about what we do. We work in augmented reality, all these kinds of things. And he was just like, oh man, you guys are so far ahead of us, like this is beyond me. And I was just like, nah, man, a lot of the stuff that we do, we build on your shit, Your stuff is foundational to a lot of stuff that we work on. Our stuff is not new. It's just we take stuff and then we do something different with it. We improve on it, obviously, but it's all like foundational. So we were just having this really deep, really cool conversation with his grandfather. His grandkid and his wife are sitting next to him, and we're just chit chatting, and we're just having a really nice time. And obviously this scavenger hunt is timed, so I'm killing time because the rest of my team was already like, fuck it, we're giving up. It's already been like an hour, and we're like, we're not going to win. These other teams are way more invested in it. We're just going to have fun. So we're just walking. So I was just like, you know what? I'm going to take some time and get to know this dude. And so we had a conversation with him, and that was really nice. Yeah, another stranger, just had a conversation with him. I thought it was really nice, and just got to know this guy a little bit more, and just hung out. The most interesting conversation I had was during that dessert party that I was telling you about. There was a guard. So we're in the convention center inside Epcot, right? And to get to the bathroom, we had to leave the room we're in and go into the main hall of the convention center and to go to the bathroom. And so I went, I'm like, hey, where's the bathroom? The guy's like, oh yeah, it's over here. It's, over here to your left. Just go right to it, right? So I go into the bathroom, and I swear to God, it is the biggest bathroom I have ever seen. There's like a million stalls that goes on for like miles, it feels like, right? It is just...
Really? It's not just a room.
No, it's not just a room. It's, it's one of those, public bathrooms, right? With like stalls and everything. But it looks like there's like a ton. Like it goes on for a while, right? I walk in there, I was like, holy shit, this bathroom is gigantic. It's just really long. I do my thing. I walk back out and I'm like, yo, that bathroom is huge, to the guard. And he's like, yeah, I think it's one of the biggest ones on the property. And I was like, really? One of the biggest ones? Which one is bigger? And he's like, you know what? No, I think that one is basically the biggest one on the property. And I was like, oh, that's just crazy that we're sitting here. I was like, that's a huge bathroom. He's like, well, this is a convention hall. We have like a lot of conventions here, and conventions have like thousands of people.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to have a bathroom that big, So imagine like you're in a convention hall, those bathrooms in the convention hall. Imagine like 4 times the size.
Wow, that's crazy.
Right.
Because I was thinking in my head sometimes like you'll go to a stadium and the bathroom will be big. Or you'll go to somewhere where maybe a movie theater,
like an airport or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just imagine that this is like 4 times that size. It's ridiculous how big this bathroom is. And I made that comment to him, and I was just like, that's insane, right? So I'm chit-chatting with him. I'm having a conversation with him, and then I was just like, I have a question. Not bathroom related. I was like, yo, so so the way Epcot is situated, the way it's set up is that there's like these huge pavilions is what they call it, right? These areas of Epcot where it's like built up and represents each country, right? So like Japan has like this giant pagoda, and it's got like this building that looks like it's from the Edo period. Germany's got this like
Nice.
Germany's got this beer garden looking thing. You know, they really do it up, right? Like the areas that they're in charge of, they really encapsulate the feel of the country. You know, it's kind of like the Paris Hotel in Las Vegas, right? It's a miniature version. They have all these things in there, but they throw it on there, and it's a pretty big size, but you know, it's kind of what it looks like, right? And I was like, so I understand some of these countries like Paris or sorry, France and the United Kingdom, Germany, America even has their own gigantic pavilion area, right? I was like, but why Morocco? You know, like Morocco has its own area. I'm like, that's kind of a weird choice, right? Like, why would Disney decide of all the other countries in the world to build like a Morocco area, right? So I asked this guy, and then I was like, but India has like a kiosk, right? The second most populous country in the world has like this little kiosk area for their food, and that's it. They don't have a gift shop like these. Like China has like this whole area, a restaurant, a kiosk, a shopping area. Japan has like the same kind of thing, and they have the Kawaii Museum. They have a museum
Wow.
dedicated to Kawaii, right?
Wow.
I'm like, what is this? Why do they have all this
Yeah.
stuff
Why is
there?
this here? Yeah.
Why is it there, right? Why is it here, but why does India not have it, and why does Morocco have it, right? Like, what? How did that decision get made?
Especially with India being one of the bigger countries.
Biggest countries in
Yeah.
the world, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, second most populous country in the world.
Crazy.
So I'm like, how did that choice get made? He tells me, and later on, I actually looked it up on Wikipedia. He didn't get all the details right, but basically, he tells me is that the countries sponsor the construction of these pavilions. Okay,
Oh wow.
so Morocco, the actual government of Morocco sponsored the construction of the Morocco area. I looked it up in Wikipedia. The other countries are sponsored by like major companies in that are like Japanese company would sponsor the Japanese area of the park. A Chinese company would sponsor, or a private donor would sponsor the Chinese area of the park, right? But Morocco is actually like sponsored by the Moroccan government. So yeah, they're actually like sponsored by the countries that want to build a pavilion, and then the people who work there are from those countries.
Oh
Okay,
wow. That's
like
awesome. Hell
they
yeah.
bring them in from those countries, and they work using a whatever visa they use to come here to work. It's not an H-1B. It's something else. It's some kind of cultural visa or some shit like that. And it was kind of funny because earlier in the day, we were in the UK area. One of my coworkers was like, yo, that worker, that cashier person had a British accent. Like, I wonder if they just hired this guy to work in the UK area because he has a British accent. Like, do they go out there and like find people with British accents to work these areas?
Not
And
knowing though that everyone in these
is from
pavilions,
those countries. Yeah.
that's pretty badass.
So I
Pretty
find that
badass.
out. So I find this out from this guard, this random guard that I had a conversation with.
Very
And
cool.
I was just like, my mind is blown because I did not know that about Epcot. I was like, holy shit, are you serious?
Well, I
So
think that's kind of cool how if you happen to be either Morocco or whatever, Greece or whatever, if you wanted representation
yeah.
of your country,
Mm-hmm.
especially in arguably probably one of the best Disney theme parks ever, Disney World,
Yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
like,
Mm-hmm.
why not pay for a pavilion, get your own people to be working over there?
Yeah.
You know, because a lot of people that work overseas or whatever, they're sending money back to their families
Mm-hmm.
or supporting
Yeah,
folks.
yeah.
So I think that is pretty awesome. It's not just you would have thought probably like when your friend was like, "Oh, how come that dude has an accent?"
Yeah.
or he could be a great actor. Like he just did one of the best accents
Dude,
I've ever heard.
I straight up was like, oh, they probably just go to like a local community theater and just hired actors. That's what I was saying. I was like, that's some stupid shit like that. I was like, I have no idea. But later on, I was talking to other people, some of my other coworkers, and I was telling them about this, and they were like, oh my God, that makes sense. I was in Norway, the Norway pavilion, and they straight up were speaking in like Norwegian or some shit. And I was like,
badass.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like these people have the accents, and I guess, and yeah, that definitely makes sense if you want that. I mean, it's still Disney, right?
Yeah.
It's still Disney, so you're getting a watered down version of your country, but at least they're trying to make it somewhat authentic, And I thought that was really, really cool and really interesting. And they were like, okay, so you can tell that the people are from another country if they're wearing like a costume that would represent that country.
Oh,
right?
Nice.
Like if we're in Japan, we see the women working there are wearing kimonos or some shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the people who don't work there but are filling in because they were still like. So the guard also told me that a lot of the people that were working there are gone because of pandemic. So they haven't all come back yet, is what he was saying. But he was like, yeah, so if you see the people wearing like the Disney like flair, like there's a shirt that they wear that has like flags and stuff on there. They're from here. They're filling in. But it's the people that are wearing like the actual like garb from overseas, that's when you're like, oh, those guys are from another country. Like in Germany, you can see people wearing like the lederhosen or something and the barmaid outfits and stuff like that. They're from Germany. But if you see them wearing like, your khaki pants and your button-up shirt kind of thing with the flags on there, they're from here. So I was like, oh, that's really interesting. It's really interesting. Again, these conversations it all started because I was like, yo, your bathroom is huge.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Let me
okay.
Oh,
yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, I wanted to finish up my conversation story, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Ask
no, I mean, I was gonna say my question was gonna like kind of dilute, stray away from Disneyland. So go ahead and finish your. Disneyland.
Okay. So the last interaction I had in Florida, well, not interaction, but last like pretty weird. I don't know if it's weird, but the last conversation I had was with the Uber driver that was driving me and my manager back to the airport to take off, right? I started, okay, so here's how this conversation started, all right? This is a weird, meandering conversation, all right?
All right.
So I commented about the weather and how it's really humid. It's like 80, 90 degrees and how it reminds me of like Southeast Asia, right? Hong Kong, Singapore, Thailand, very, very humid, very rainy, very hot, right? And I was like, it feels just like I'm back over there, like in Hong Kong or whatever. And so we had a really, nice conversation about that. And then he goes, oh, but Hong Kong. So he focuses on Hong Kong for some reason. And he says that he's like, Hong Kong and China are the same country, right? I'm like, yeah. It's one country, two systems. And he goes, okay. So he's an older guy. And I don't know what country he's from. Maybe like Middle East, maybe like India or something. I don't know. I don't want to really speculate. But he's an older gentleman, not from America, it seems like. And so he was like, here's what I don't understand about like China or like these communist countries. If they're a communist country, no one owns anything, right? So how does that work? How does anything work in those countries? And I was like, whoa, hold on.
Yeah.
First of all, there is no country in the world that is actually communist, right? Like China is not an actual communist country. Like their party is they call themselves the Communist Party, right?
Yeah.
But they don't actually practice communism, or not quite to the level of actual communism, right? They do have communist or socialist philosophies. Like they have public housing, they build public housing for their people. They have public transportation for people. They have public health care for their people, so there's a lot of things that are socialist, but they're not quite, but they're not communist, right? Communist is like it's truly about being equal. No one owns anything. There's no class. There's no money. Everyone does stuff. It's no one does. There's no country that does that. Cuba is not an actual communist country, right?
Correct.
They have certain ideals that can be aligned with communism, but it's all basically socialism.
Mm-hmm.
And I was telling him about this, and he was like, "Whoa, you're just blowing my mind right now." I was like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah, I never knew that. I actually thought that no one owned anything in these countries. I thought these were communist countries, and no one owned anything. And that's why I was so confused. Like, how does it work?" I was like, "Dude, no, they still go to work. They still buy stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
they try to like provide like a baseline, for their people." They try to provide like public housing and all that kind of stuff, right? Like Cuba has like a lot of. I think Cuba has like a cure for like a certain type of cancer. It's a vaccine. They developed it, So they try to help their people, but they still have to work and earn money and stuff like that. They're not actually like communists. And he was just like blown away by that. I was like, that is so weird that we're talking about communism on our Uber ride. I was like, what the fuck is this? And my
that's
manager
going
just
home or going
home.
Gotcha.
This was the last. This was like basically the last conversation I had in Florida.
Mm.
I was just, and my manager sitting next to me, just kind of, just listening, not really commenting, but it was just so weird that I had a conversation with him about communism in the world. It was so weird.
On the way home.
On the way home,
Crazy.
I was like, man, I don't want to get too into politics. I'm on vacation. I don't want to get into it.
Yeah, you're trying to chill.
I enjoy talking to people. I enjoy a little spirited debate, I guess you could say, but I wasn't about to get into it. And the fact that he was just like, "Oh, wow, I did not realize that they're not actually communists." And I'm like, yeah, the reason why we think they're communists is because, look, like Russia's not a communist state. And even when they were a communist state, they weren't really a communist state, right? The reason why we call them communists is because America hated communists.
Yep.
They hated communism. So we would brand our enemies as communists. And that's kind of carried over since then.
Yeah, I was when you say that, I think about who's the fella from the was it McCarthy, the guy that was they were listed on a supposed communist in America, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where they
Huac, the
Yep.
America's the un-American act or something like that.
Yes.
Un-American activities or some shit. Yeah.
And that's from the 40s or 50s, right?
So, Joseph McCarthy from the 50s.
So
yeah.
It just, of course, when we get into the 80s, then they feed it into us of like, hey,
Red Dawn.
Yes, exactly. Or
Rocky.
Wrestling, right? With Nikolai Volkov or that type of stuff, right? Yeah.
So yeah, you get all this propaganda, and up until the 80s, Russians were the bad guy. Communism was the bad guy, right? And because China was still up and coming during the 80s, it's all about Russia, and how their communism is bad and yada yada yada. Fidel Castro is bad, and I mean, look, every single government they do bad shit, right?
Yes,
they do.
Yes.
There's nothing particularly bad about what Russia does. We do just as much shit to other countries as they do to other countries, All these countries do shit to other people. There's nothing special about it. But because they're our enemies, we call them communists, and then we just say, fuck them. They're all bad guys because they're communists.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, and I was just telling this guy all of this, and he was just like, wow, I honestly did not know.
How old was this gentleman?
Older, probably like, I want to say maybe in his 50s or 60s.
Okay. Because I was going to say maybe he grew up, or maybe not grew up, but maybe he came up during a time where I guess he believed what was being fed to him, right? And he's not.
I mean, I mean, if he was around here in the 80s, he probably would have been in his teens, you know.
Mhm.
So, and I have again, I have no idea when he moved here. Maybe he wasn't here during his teenage years, but all he knows is that America is anti-communist um, and communism is bad, and he only knows so much about communism in that no one owns anything,
Mm.
and it's like, well, it's not exactly it, but I mean, sure, whatever. But that's not how these countries work, right? Like no country, like I said, no country in the world is actually communist. I mean, if you're looking at like a China, right? That's more like authoritarianism. You know,
Mhm.
it's like a single party controlling everything. Some could even say it's fascist, but I
Well,
wouldn't go that far. But
I was hearing words too during pandemic of draconian, right? Like
yeah,
of
sure,
right.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
but yeah, I mean, just like what you said, every country has a little bit of dirt on them to where
mm-hmm.
you can be labeled. They'll put labels on certain countries to
Yeah,
where it'll stick. It'll stick. I mean,
mm-hmm.
one of our biggest labels or whatever is that we're the bullies or the police of the
Yeah,
world, right? Of
yep, yep, yep.
that stuff. So yeah, totally
I mean,
understand.
I mean, I basically had to explain to one of my coworkers why uh, some of what America did in Afghanistan resulted in 9/11. I actually had to sit him down and be like, okay, here's how we're kind of responsible for 9/11.
Yeah, I mean, if we're
You know?
talking about the Cold War and how they helped
Yeah.
us
Hmm.
fight Russia and
Yeah. Yeah.
and we
Yeah.
basically didn't take care of them to where they're
Yep.
like, well, fuck it, we're using all your guys as weapons
And
against you.
training.
Yeah, and training against you guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because look, you're blowing up my family and friends. Well, I'm gonna blow up your family and friends.
using your
That's
resources.
right.
Yeah.
And your training and how to fight an asymmetrical warfare. Yeah, that's basically how they became. This is basically how America became responsible for 9/11. I mean, okay, not necessarily like directly responsible. Obviously, it's still a bad thing. Killing people like that or killing people in general is not a good thing, right? We can all agree on
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
But the situation for a 9/11 to happen, it didn't happen in a vacuum. It's not like these guys just woke up one day and was like, "Fuck America, let's go blow them up." They don't. That's not how that works. Like who actually wants to go suicide bomb stuff?
It was more like it
That's
was a long time coming just because of the developments from those
right.
early 80s years
Yeah,
going
yeah.
into the 2000s, right? So,
Into the
um,
2000s. Yeah,
I did have one question though, since
mhm,
you're
mhm.
talking about so first time in Florida, correct?
Yeah, yep,
You didn't get to see the rest of Florida though. You were
correct.
just in
Disney. Yeah.
Disney World. Did you feel like not trapped, but you're like, oh, we can't leave. Like, oh, we're just here. Did that ever cross your mind or anything like that?
No, not really. Just because there's a lot of stuff you can do, and
Mm.
you can always call an Uber to go somewhere, but you don't really have to do anything.
And you guys didn't leave the site. You were just
I Some of us did not, but some of us did wanted to go, but some of my coworkers did want to go visit Universal, so that's what they did.
oh,
They
okay.
visited Universal for like half a day.
Because
So
I
some
did want to
people
ask, yeah, if you had ventured away from the
no,
actual
no.
site, did you get to see or experience all the good or bad things of what Florida is supposed to be and all that stuff?
Are you asking if I had to run into like some MAGA people?
I don't know. Maybe I don't know. You know what I mean?
Okay, so while I was at Disney, not really, but on the airplane at the airport, stuff like that. Oh, for sure. Actually, no. On my way to Florida at San Jose Airport, okay.
Mm.
I had a 6 a.m. flight. I was there at 4 a.m. getting through the security. There was nobody there. I was just like, okay, cool, awesome. So as I'm getting through security, there's an older guy there with his wife, and they have to go through the whole rigmarole as well. Take off your shoes, put all your shit in the bins, yada yada yada. And we were just sitting there going, man, this really sucks that we still have to do this, 20 plus years later, after 9/11, after the shoe bombers, all that stuff, we still have to go through this wild, like, checks, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we were just chit-chatting about that. And then he tells me that he's a long haul trucker.
Okay.
Right. And he has to get like security clearance because he has to do stuff for the government. So he has like CIA clearance, FBI clearance, whatever the fuck it is. Right. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I'm like, all right, cool. So I'm having a conversation with him. We get our shit, we sit down, and I'm putting on my stuff. And I was just like, yeah, this really sucks. Because we have to sit down and put our shoes on, yada, yada. Just making small chat with him.
Yeah.
And he goes, but and then he says something about like, but man, I wish we had better security on the border. And I was like,
uh-oh.
I was like, what?
Here we go.
I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? He's like, man, we just let anybody in. We have no idea what the fuck they're gonna do to us. And I'm like, oh, sure, cool. All right, man. I had luckily just finished putting on my shoes. I was ready to go. I was just like, all right, man, good talking to you. Peace out. That was in San Jose, dude.
And you're like, I'm not having this conversation with this fucking guy.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
at 4 a.m? Fuck no.
Yeah.
What am I gonna say to him?
Yeah.
What am I gonna say to him? The guy already thinks that fucking like people coming over the border is gonna come kill us, and it's like that's not how that works.
Crazy.
Undocumented immigrants do not commit the bulk of the crime in America. That's just a fact. They're also a net positive to our economy. They put in way more money than they take out because we don't allow them to take anything out. We don't allow them to, we technically don't allow them to go to public schools. We don't let them use like, insurance. There's no insurance for them. I mean, emergency room, sure, but that's it. They don't use public services like the way we do, right? So and they still pay taxes, so they put more money back into the economy. They don't commit crime because if they commit crime, they get sent back. So
Crazy.
they're in a situation where they don't do anything. But this guy is already like talking shit about like undocumented immigrants, and he's in San Jose. I don't know where he was flying back to. I don't know where he's from, but I was just like, wow. Thank you for prepping me to get ready to Florida. But when I was, getting ready to go to Florida, but when I was in Florida, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't until I was back at the airport on an airplane, surrounded by people watching Fox News on the TV screens, that I was just kind of like, yeah, nothing like leaving the Bay Area to see how many conservatives are actually out there in the world. And I'm just like, this is so awkward. Like, I'm sitting here watching Andor on my TV screen. This dude's watching Greg Gutfeld of The Five talking. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. I'm just like, what is it? This guy directly next to me, the guy in front of me, and maybe some other dude over here on the other side. I'm just like,
crazy.
Yeah, until I realized that half the country voted for Trump. And it's like, oh, well, no, that makes sense. I'm going to run into those people. But at Disney, not so much. Didn't really get anything like that. Didn't get any vibes.
I was gonna say, how is there? Well, of course, there's drinks, and you were talking about you were out there smoking and all that stuff. Is it weird that? How do I say this? It's still regulated, even though you guys are adults.
Sure.
Pretty sure they have their own Disney police too, of like,
Probably. You don't see them though.
You don't see them, right? But
I don't see anybody. Yeah.
Did you feel? How do I say it? Did you feel? Well, maybe you did. Did you feel like you were in a different time era world of like, all right, I'm not in California, or I'm not. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how I'm trying to explain it. Because everything just seems so self-contained at Disney.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Uh, I don't know how it was in the past, but they have their own currency, correct? Like you got to buy. I don't know if it's like that anymore.
No,
Uh,
no, no, no,
Card
no,
Hub.
no.
Shout out to CardHub .ph. A very good friend of mine. I got to meet him doing some stuff. He does box breaks here, Ninja, with the
Mm,
cards and stuff like that. And I was gonna
yeah.
say Card Hub. I think you might want to join or tune into Spotlight when I'm on Spotlight because I'm gonna be doing some old. I'll be doing some old cards here. You know, look at the
Ooh.
Kobe rookies and you know what I'm saying. Whatever we
Ooh.
got, so we got a whole bunch of stuff that we're gonna be doing for that stuff. But he did put Disney World allows smoking with the emoji. The
So
you know.
technically, no. Well, okay, not in the parks themselves, but they do have designated areas. Like
It would
outside of
be hard
Epcot,
for me.
you had to go outside of Epcot.
Okay, I was gonna say it would be hard for me because not only do I smoke cigarettes, but I'm from California.
Mm-hmm.
I smoke weed. I've been smoking weed
Mm-hmm.
for a very, very long time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just like, I got to leave the park to actually
Yeah.
indulge in stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Cloud Effects is also saying Ninja is a rebel. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So,
Thanks, Cloud.
yeah, thank you, Cloud.
No. So there are designated areas. There are designated areas that you can go to.
You think I could get away with smoking weed at Disneyland? Probably not. Huh? Probably not. There's
Honestly,
cameras everywhere. I bet.
so here's the thing. I don't know what the rules and regulations are for Florida and whether or not there's medicinal legalities for it. In the park, no, but if you're in a designated area, maybe. But in the park, they specifically say no drugs. Um,
Okay.
yeah. But I don't know about everywhere else and whether or not Florida is okay with it or not. I don't know. I'm not sure. I didn't check. I didn't bring anything for that. I didn't bring my vape. I didn't buy any like edibles or anything like that. I was just like, yeah, I'm not gonna even deal with it.
You were sober boy 2000.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't do much of it anyways, and I
Right,
don't
right.
drink. I just don't. So, but yeah, you can have, and that's how I had my crazy conversations with random ass people. I go to these areas and I'm by myself, and then I just strike up. I just have random conversations. I don't know how it starts.
What up to everybody out there? This is episode. What episode are we on?
156.
Oh my goodness, 156 of the Hub 408. Thank you guys for joining us. Ninja's just been recapping his time at Disney World,
My
his
experiences.
experiences there. So thank you guys for joining in. Shout out again to my homie cardhub.ph. When I was showing the cards here, he got excited. Of course, a lot of these card guys are excited, but I just wanted to plug real quick, Ninja. I will be on Kumu Spotlight for the month of October, doing cards. I figure out, it's just an hour. I can show you guys. Uh, and by the way, I only do old cards. I don't collect anymore, but I don't know if I want to part with some of these cards. So we'll talk
Hmm.
about, the 90. We're talking about like the Iverson years, the Kobe
Yeah.
years, before
Mid
hitting the
90s.
2000s.
Yeah. The
Yes.
mid
Yeah.
90s, basically.
Yes.
Early to
So
mid 90s. Your Anthony
exactly.
Hardaways,
Yes.
your Shaquille O'Neal rookie cards,
Yes. That aren't worth
your
shit.
your Dan Marleys.
Gotta love the. I met a collector the other day, Waldo, just because I'm starting to let go some stuff. I'm starting to
Okay.
let go some stuff, whether it's I didn't know if I wanted to get rid of these guys too. I didn't know if Tomax and
Ooh.
Zaymont,
Ooh.
you know what I mean? So I didn't
Ooh.
know if I was gonna do GI Joes or if I was gonna do cards.
Yeah.
So I might split it up. You might get 2 weeks of basketball cards. You might get 2 weeks of toys. For the
Yeah.
last month, I was doing retro gaming. I was doing Nintendo 64 stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I was about to say there was a collector I met. Um, I put up some cards out where I was like, you know what? Let me throw some numbers out there and let me put this out there. I had one Michael Jordan card I listed for about 1,300, right? Which is
God.
pretty
Okay.
fucking good, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
1,300. I was like, let's see let's see if somebody's gonna bite on this. I almost had it where this one guy was gonna buy maybe 6 cards from me for about $3,000. He was
Oh
gonna
my
spend,
god.
but he backed out. He backed out last minute. He reneged and he tried to lowball me, try to do all this stuff. I was like, man, let me put a stop to this right now. And so first of all, we got Jay Jericho in the house. Happy birthday to my man, Jay Jericho. How are you, brother?
Cool.
Awesome. We had just recapped Ninja's Disney World.
My
uh,
adventures in
Disney World
Yeah.
Adventures, and we're kind of talking with some of the folks here on the Kumu site here. We got Marjorie also saying happy birthday, Jay. But we're just
Thank
talking
you.
a little bit about basketball cards, talking a little bit about, because I'm going to be on Spotlight for the month of October again. I just did a month of retro gaming. I was doing Nintendo 64 stuff, some GameCube stuff. So for this next month, I don't know if I'm going to be doing GI Joes. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if I'll be doing I mean, this is just I think this is my money binder right here. I got my Jordan Kobe binder. You know what I'm saying, of all his rookies and all that stuff. So we can talk about all this stuff. But fellow collector from all of us here, Jay, Ninja. It's funny too, Jay. Ninja was talking about he almost bought a lightsaber, but he didn't know how he was gonna bring that home and all that stuff.
And where to put it.
Oh,
and all
because
that stuff.
you're over in Florida. Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but
They
yeah, what's up?
as far as I know, you could actually ship it out back to your house.
Yeah.
I
I'm not
would do it when you're you can fly with it back too, which is very interesting. You could fly with it back.
Right. Well, the thing is, I have a duffel bag and I have my backpack and I couldn't hold it on anywhere. And I was just like, I'm just not going to deal with it. And plus I don't know where to put it. And I wasn't going to spend like $200 on a lightsaber.
Yeah.
Even if I was just using the company card, and probably won't get fucked for it.
Oh. I would say if you do it at the actual Disneyland. I mean, at least you have a chance to bring it home that way too. So
Sure, but I mean,
well, I was gonna say with Ninja going to Disney World though, I bet you like Disneyland is like it's nothing to Disney World now since you've been to Disney World. I bet too, right? You was like, oh shit, Disneyland's probably crap compared to.
Comparing the two, Disneyland is more charming. I would say, because it's a smaller venue. It's the first one. Disney World is overwhelming. To be fair, like they have like 4 different parks that you can go to, and you're like, what? You're trying to think of what you're gonna do. It's kind of overwhelming. Whereas you go to Disneyland. I
have a question here from Card Hub. We can go down the line just to nerd out real quick. Card Hub is asking, Disney or Universal? Jay, what do you prefer, Disney or Universal?
Oh, I think it more depends on like your preference, because like for me, I don't really ride rides anymore just because of
you're scared.
No, for some apparent reason I developed a condition where I actually black out.
That's not a real condition, dude. That's not a
no, like legit I blacked out.
Stop drinking.
No, legit I blacked out. And did not know what happened. And no,
I don't mean to laugh. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying. It's like I blacked out. I did not know what happened, and then I woke up.
But why? Is it because your heart rate goes up or something? Your
no,
blood pressure is low.
And it was weird because it was like the 5th time I rode that ride that day, and it just so happened I blacked out and did not know what happened.
I think you kind of overdid it if you're going 5
rides. So I don't know. So I don't ride because of that.
Got you.
Okay.
Marjorie did say though, my daughter's friend passes out too, so maybe it's a rare. I don't mean to laugh. I'm just saying. I think it could be something rare. Who knows? So you
Yeah,
prefer
that's actually,
Disney?
I don't know.
You right? You prefer Disney, Jay?
Well, I mean, like I said, it depends on what you're going to.
Mhm.
I really don't have a preference. I could go to both. I just don't pick one.
All right, there you go. Well, Ninja, what about you? Are you a Universal guy or are you a Disney guy?
So the last time I went to Universal was a few years ago in Singapore, and
Oh, nice.
I mean, it's a nice time. The IPs. Okay, so honestly, if you're I I think, for at least for me, I follow the IP, and the IP for Universal is like Transformers, Jurassic Park, shit like that, which is cool, but not quite as iconic as, like, Star Wars for me. You
Got you.
know,
Uh,
um, so I would prefer Disney in general. But here's the funny thing: is that you remember how I was telling you that some of my coworkers went to Universal for this trip? A bunch of them were like, I wish I had stayed here to go to Hollywood with you guys, because their
oh, they
experience
were
there
not.
was
They did
not
not.
great. I mean, part of it wasn't because of the park itself. It was like they had to close at 7 for some reason, like for
Super early.
whatever reason. Yeah, they had to close at 7. I don't remember why, but something messed up their park, and they had to close early, so they didn't even get to ride on the rides that they want to go ride on. They were forced to go into like Harry Potter World, and there wasn't a lot for them to do there. Like, we're talking about a bunch of 30, 40-year-olds walking through Universal with nothing to do. And then they were like, then they went to like this cartoon land, right? And they were like, yeah, so we went to cartoon land, but all the cartoons that all the characters that they had was like Blondie or
Mm.
Crazy Cat, or like, all these different ones where I'm like, Rocky and Bullwinkle, which I'm like, well, at least I know them. So it was a bunch
Yeah.
of like cartoons, that you just don't really know. You know what I'm saying? It's like you could throw a rock at Disneyland and hit a cartoon that you're intimately familiar with, right? But then they went to Cartoon Land, and my coworker was just naming off all these random like IPs from Universal that they had, and it's like, dude, no one knows who the fuck they are, right?
Mm.
Like, they're a bunch of cartoons that no one fucking talks about these days. So I'm like, oh, okay, I guess that makes sense.
Well, I was
And
gonna say.
then
Oh, go ahead.
No, and then, like I said, after experiencing Rise of the Resistance and Guardians, that both those rides just completely blew my mind. Yeah, I'm right now in the Disney camp.
I'm
Those two
going
rides
with
are amazing.
Universal. As a kid, I just loved going to Universal Studios. I was a huge monster fan growing up, so I loved the whole King Kong stuff, the Godzilla stuff. And truthfully, if I really think about it, it's like, man, maybe as a kid I was tricked, right? Not tricked, but I have Disney Plus. I have no problem, with the content they have there. But dude, all I watch is either Marvel stuff or Star Wars stuff. I really don't give a fuck about the Disney stuff. I really don't. Maybe that I got older, I'm not interested. Like I
Mm-hmm.
thought that for example, that new Pinocchio movie came out. I love Tom Hanks. Love Tom Hanks.
Well,
But
okay.
I was like, why the fuck would I want to? First of all, Pinocchio is just a weird story in the first place. It's about a white man that
Mm-hmm.
wants to make a fucking kid. That's weird
Yeah.
to me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I just have not been feeling Disney these last couple of years. Although I do understand that Disney owns a lot of stuff, right? They basically own the friggin' world. So a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
things that might be
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
Disney Plus thing, I might check it out. But like
Mm-hmm.
today, I went to go drop off my mom at work, and Liana put on Little Mermaid, the original one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I probably saw the first 2 minutes, and I just thought about like, damn, I remember watching this when it first came out. Like, what might have been 10 years old, 11 years old. No, I was probably in
Mm-hmm.
fourth or fifth grade. And I remember watching it frequently because they would show it at school, they would show it,
Mm-hmm.
wherever, and it's like, all right, cool, I get it. But now I think that I've gotten older, it's like I really don't care about these Disney stories
Mm-hmm.
at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was hoping though that Universal is, again, you talked about some of the IP they had. I just wish though that even though they're not concentrated on that, but only if they could make their parks completely compete with Disney. You know what I'm
Sure.
saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
That would be just an awesome experience just because of the
Mm-hmm.
IP that they have. I mean, earlier you were talking about the Guardians of the Galaxy ride or whatever it is. But
Yeah.
just imagine if you were to go to a Universal, theme park and all the movies that you love and are familiar with, you'd be
Mm-hmm.
able to be immersed in that too. You know what I mean? So maybe just like you, Ninja, if I were to ever go to
I thought their
Disneyland,
Back to the Future ride. Their Back to the Future ride I thought was really fun. And then now
right?
I think it's the Spider-Man ride.
The only thing I remember wanting to do at Universal, well, I know this was a couple of years ago where I guess you pay a certain amount, and instead of walking or being on that ride where they put you on a
The
train and you
tram.
go up
Yeah, yeah,
down
yeah.
the tram. I see this
The
one.
tour.
Yeah, I see this one person do the whole like, oh, they pay a certain amount and you can just walk through the park kind of unassisted, and you're just doing your kind of own thing. I seen this
Mm-hmm.
father and son do a video where they're literally walking through all the parts that you probably wouldn't be able to get to,
Yeah.
just probably by tram. So these guys are walking on huge sets, huge
Back
street
lots and
lots,
stuff
yeah,
like
the
that.
back
Yeah.
lots and stuff like that. And I just thought, just because I'm a movie guy, I really, really love the process of movie making. That's what I would want to see. Like, I know Waldo earlier talked about Ratatouille and all that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
about how it's a great ride and stuff. I'm pretty sure it's a great ride, right? But it's like I have no interest in it. Just like
Mm-hmm.
I love Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, right, from Disney. I don't think they have it anymore, but I've never even seen anything having to do with Mr. Toad. I think it's maybe because when I was a kid. But
Mm-hmm.
I do love the aspect of who Walt Disney was, the creativity of who he was.
Yeah.
Actually, one thing that I saw on the Disney Plus channel that I really liked, they talked about the whole Haunted Mansion and how that opened up. And it's a really great documentary on that stuff. Card Hub has another nerdy question here, which I love. We'll start off with Jason here. Which movies would you like to see have a crossover, a la Jason versus Freddy or whatever? Jericho, off the top of your head, if you could think. I'll just put one out there too, and I'll just shut down on mine. But they were trying to do a crossover with Fast and the Furious and Jurassic Park. That was something that they were rumored to try to do, which I thought would be insane. If they were to do Jurassic Park and Fast and the Furious. So Jay, what is a mashup that you would want to see?
Man, you're gonna have to get back to me on that one. I gotta think about this.
All right.
I
Well, it's a
know.
nerdy one.
I mean, if we're talking about any movies out there, that's a lot. That's a lot of like movies out there to cross over.
Although I did love Jason versus Freddy. I thought that was that was probably the last good Jason or Freddy movies, and especially with Kelly Rowland calling Freddy a F word. You can't even say that word no more, but she called him an F word. I always thought that was ridiculous. Like,
The F slur. The
F slur. Like, I was like, that is so. Again, it was a different time, right? Early 2000s. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But I just thought, coming from Kelly Rowland, I just always found that funny that she called Freddy the F word. Yeah. So any thoughts, guys? And the only reason why I thought of Jurassic Park and Fast and the Furious, I saw an article about it a couple of months ago of like, hey, if it was possible to merge these two worlds together, and I was like, that's the most random mashup. You know what I mean? So
I'll say John Wick versus Aliens.
Hey, John Wick killing a bunch of aliens, I'd be down for that actually. Bunch of Cenobites and face huggers and stuff, and he's doing all his gun stuff, right? I think that'd be kind of cool. All right. Jay,
I think that'd be
you got
fun.
one off the top of your head?
Don't
think too hard. You don't have
no, it's Willow crosses over into Game of Thrones and shit.
I would watch that.
I mean,
I would watch that.
we're just talking about like a slightly more serious, or maybe not slightly, greatly more serious Willow is what we're talking about. I mean, that's really what it is.
By the way, Willow is coming out soon, correct? On Disney Plus.
Yeah,
Yeah, the new
I thought
one.
about that. I was
Next
like,
month.
huh.
Yeah,
Very interested in it. Very interested
next
in
month. Yeah, yeah.
it. Yeah, that's a good one, Jay. I'm actually I don't know if these guys here are Thrones fans or anything, but I've been watching the newest what's that,
Yeah.
House of Dragons or whatever.
House of the Dragon.
The Dragons. I've
Yeah.
enjoyed it so far. I've been enjoying it so far. And I love how they have people of color also. That's one thing that's oh no, right? Oh
My
no.
heart. My heart.
My heart.
Remember how I think this past week or last week, right? People that were watching the new Lord of the Rings, they were like, "Oh my God, there's black elves." Why?
I mean, I kind of wanted to talk about it because after Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, Sandman, all of these
Sandman, another one. Yep.
all of these shows and IPs coming out with with switched with representation, and how so many people right now are on the internet are just so angry about that. They're also angry about She-Hulk,
Yep.
because she's a woman. I mean that's really about it. I mean, I don't know what people are complaining about. I find that show to be hilarious, but people are just like so angry about it. It's like, oh, I can't believe she's twerking, and it's like, why? She-Hulk is a fun character. I don't understand. She's always been a fun character.
By the way, I did not mind She-Hulk twerking. Did not mind that at all.
Ooh, wow, hot take right there.
Did not mind that at all.
You didn't mind a girl twerking, and with Megan Thee Stallion. Oh my God!
Did not mind.
Stop the presses.
And if I remember correctly, on a old ass episode of the Hub 408, I believe She-Hulk was one of the superheroes you would have banged, right? Ninja,
oh yeah, 100%. Yeah,
you had a chance, right? So it's kind of cool to kind of see that on screen of she's over here. Mm-hmm. Although no spoiler. Well, spoiler alerts at all times. They're not giving love to Jen. They love She-Hulk, but they're not giving love to Jen. You know what I mean?
Well, that's why you had that last episode of Just Jen.
Yes. Card Hub is saying,
I thought was a great episode.
Card Hub is saying he has 2 comments here. I honestly can't watch any Lord of the Rings. I tried watching Rings of Power. I always fell asleep. And he also put She-Hulk did everybody in the comics, which I believe is
we went through her list.
Yes, we did. Oh, yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did. She banged.
Yes,
so
we did.
We talked about it already. Yeah.
Yes, and you can find that episode somewhere on our YouTube. Go ahead and check out Elite X Kumu. It's probably we did it in the last year, right? Last couple of episodes.
Sometime last year. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe the last 10 or something episodes we talked about
something like that.
She-Hulk getting banged. And by the way, too, I could be wrong here, but is She-Hulk predates Deadpool of talking to the readers, correct?
The fourth wall, yeah. Yeah.
Is she one of the first ones, right?
Because I believe She-Hulk was doing the fourth wall thing during John Byrne's run, which was like during the 80s.
Awesome.
Or 90s, something like that. Yeah.
Card Hub is saying, nerding out here, and I love it. I was going to say, Card Hub, if you like, I would like to invite you to maybe a future episode of the Hub. We could either talk basketball, we could talk about a whole bunch of nerdy stuff. We do it on StreamYard here. So whether you have a phone or a laptop, if you like, we can get you on here, and we can just nerd out. We love hanging out with folks here on Kumu and just nerding out about that stuff. Let's give our nerddom some time. We'll give them a little bit extra right now. So let's talk about She-Hulk real quick. Yeah. Jason, are you caught up, by the way?
No, the last episode I watched was the Megan episode, the twerking episode. So,
twerking episode. Oh my God!
Yeah.
You don't know why people are angry about this last episode, then?
Oh, they're angry about the same shit over and over, huh?
Well, no. Well, so what happened was in the episode before they teased another superhero.
Yeah.
At the end, and they thought that they were going to show up, but this new episode, which is actually kind of funny, she even addresses the fact that it's an inconvenient time to have a self-contained wedding episode. And because that's how weddings are sometimes. They're inconvenient.
Disney
And so
put out
people
this
got angry
thing.
about that.
Yeah, either Disney or the people of She-Hulk put out this thing today or yesterday where, hey, we know a lot of you guys were expecting so-and-so to come out, but this is a She-Hulk show.
Yeah.
And not only that, it almost seemed like they were trolling the fans, which I thought was so freaking genius. You know, it was so genius of like, dude, let this person have their shine.
Her moment.
Because I think
let her have her
think
moment.
we're so accustomed to, whether it's Star Wars, whether it's a Marvel or a DC movie, of hey, this person's gonna show up. Hey, this person's gonna, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So they'll give us a fan service, right, with the early episodes and stuff like that. But then they're like, no, hold on, let's pump the brakes. Let's do our own thing here. So I love the way that they've been handling everything. And I honestly thought that it was only 6 episodes. So when I found out tonight that it was only they're actually doing 9 episodes.
It's 9, right? Yeah, I thought.
Yeah, I was just like, okay, cool. I was like, I'm okay with this because I happen to be one of those guys. Waldo was like, dude, I thought we were gonna get this already, And I didn't.
You know what's funny is that I honestly forgot what happened in that last episode. I was just so like interested in what was going on with this episode that I just completely forgot what was going to go on. And even if I had remembered, I don't think I would have cared because I know they're going to show up later anyway. So I don't really care all that much. So
I think I've been conditioned to see certain things on my screen. So when I'm waiting for certain things to happen, like spoiler alert, of course, you see right here, enter at all times. The first episode, they teased the fight between Titania and She-Hulk in the courtroom, and we didn't even see nothing. There was no fight. So I'm like, dude, did I miss something here? Where's a fucking fight? And even after this episode, I'm thinking, okay, we'll get an end credit scene. We'll get one. So all of a sudden, when you don't get it, you're like, dude, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah.
And then when I read that statement of like, hold on, we're the ones that's in control here. I dug that. Card Hub, by the way, is just saying how they changed how Abomination looks like and stuff, right? I mean, they'll go through these different things. Jason, did you have a thing on your mind? Did you want a point that you wanted to get off? Oh, I thought you did.
I do want to point out that the showrunner or one of the executive producers is Jessica Gao, right? Jessica Gao was a writer on Rick and Morty, and she's best known for the Pickle Rick episode. So if you think about it, like she's really good at what she does, and she wrote, like I said, she wrote the Pickle Rick episode, and that's one of those episodes where a lot of people are like, "Holy crap!" That's like, if you're a Rick and Morty fan, that's like an iconic, that's an iconic episode for Rick and Morty fans. She wrote that. She's also really like, very, very much a feminist, and she really likes to deconstruct people. Like that entire episode, even though it's a ridiculous episode, is a deconstruction on his psyche as a person, who doesn't want to like confront his failings as a grandfather and a father. Because the rest of the family is at therapy while he's busy being Pickle Rick. So he's trying to avoid his responsibilities. He's trying to avoid having to, confront issues that he's not ready for yet, So yeah, she's really, really smart. And I'm not at all surprised that she's trolling the fuck out of these people who are watching the show. I'm so not surprised by it because that's what she does. She don't give a fuck. She is like straight up.
Well, especially on working on a property like Rick and Morty, which is, I mean, arguably one of the
toxic fandoms.
Yes, that too. But I was gonna say arguably one of the greatest shows. So many people just fuck with Rick and Morty super heavy, just like how maybe in the past how people had, either loved The Simpsons or Futurama or whatever. This is just such a hardcore fan base. So too, but It's all about the writing. It's all about the direction
Mhm.
where they're bringing
Yep.
those two characters. So the fact that we're kind of getting this with She-Hulk, completely
Mhm.
love it. So I
Mhm.
was gonna say,
Yeah.
yeah, Jason. Do you like She-Hulk so far, Jason? You digging it so far?
I actually I do. I do. I like that. It's like it the aspect of a sitcom comedy. So
Mhm. Yeah.
that's what I like
Yeah.
about it.
You do kind of have to remember that it is functionally a sitcom, right?
Yeah.
So if you're comparing it to like Netflix's Daredevil,
Yeah, you're not gonna get
it's
that.
completely different. It's completely different. It's a different vibe. It's a different, yeah, it's a different. It's the vibe is just completely different. And you know she's in L.A. You know, so it's just again you get all these different like you get a different expectation. I want to say, but if you're expecting like a super serious superhero show, it's not, and it shouldn't be because She-Hulk again is a funny character.
I will say I think they kind of tricked me. I don't know if you guys feel these same sentiments, but I honestly thought it was going to be a kind of like a lawyer show, and it's not.
Mm,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? It's
No,
There's
again,
not
yeah,
really that there. Yeah.
yeah. For me, again, like because I knew Jessica Gao was in charge of the show, I was like, oh yeah, it's gonna be funny.
Toxic fandom is on point, is what cardhub.ph said. Regarding toxic
Mhm.
fandom. Also,
Yeah,
and the way they make the series of these really is a genius move. Even Percy Jackson's gonna be one. He says here.
yeah.
Um,
They're
I
coming
was
out
gonna
with that pretty soon.
I was gonna say too. You had mentioned Daredevil. When you watched the Daredevil, and I watched all that. We had talked about this stuff on the early, really
Sure.
pre-Kumu episodes of
Hmm.
the Hub 408 before we got on this platform. We just a lot of us here on the Hub really like the whole Netflix stuff that they were doing, and that's one aspect I did love about Daredevil, where this is a law firm that's broke, just like in the comics. These guys are working
Hmm.
per diem, right? And
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
just trying to make it work. So I love
Hmm.
that aspect of it was still a lawyer type show. Maybe because
Yeah.
I grew up on what was those shows back in the day, Waldo? Like LA Law. Like
L.A. Law.
you know how
Yeah.
you would just have that in the background, like, all right, I'm trying to go to sleep,
L.A.
but I'll
Law,
just watch
Law and Order,
Law and
Perry
Order. So
Mason.
yeah. Oh my god, you're fucking on TBS, right? Like
Yeah.
at 2:35 a.m., so
Nick at Night.
So
Yeah.
that's one thing that I was not expecting, but I love the fact that Jason, one of our favorite actors, I don't know his real name, but Larry Appleton, that was on Perfect Strangers.
Marklin Baker.
Marklin Baker, there you
Marklin
go,
Baker. Yeah. Is
dude.
is
He's
Jen's dad? Yeah.
She-Hulk's dad. That's amazing. I was just like, oh,
Yeah.
I love it. You know what I mean? I love it. Card Hub was also saying, "Oh wow, that Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and Defenders marathon is really tiring. It is. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. But I loved all of those except for maybe Iron Fist. Did not
Well.
care so much for Iron Fist, but I would put Jessica Jones, Daredevil, Punisher. Also, I'll put those in my top three. A lot of people didn't love Jessica Jones, but I really, really love that show. That was such a good show. Luke Cage also was a great show too. So I'm glad that we're seeing that kind of crossover and bleed
Yeah.
into what we got.
I mean, I really do hope they slowly fold them back in and maybe kind of like retcon some of the stuff that didn't really work and just, fold in and kind of reboot them, like soft reboot them a little bit,
I heard
like,
we're getting 18 episodes also of Daredevil, which is pretty. That's a crazy amount. You know what I mean? We're used to these Marvel shows only showing 8 episodes,
six to nine
six.
episodes. Yeah. Uh-huh.
So I read today, yeah, I believe they're giving Daredevil an 18 episode run or 19 episode run or something like that. So pretty excited about that too. Of what you can do. Hi Anna, how are you? What's up to Mommy I too? What's up to Dark Blood 2385? Card Hub was saying She-Hulk has 9 episodes. Why not 10? Right? Hopefully they
No.
get renewed. Hopefully it gets renewed.
Yeah.
You know what
Why
I mean?
not 10? Maybe because that's how much they need to tell the story they want to tell, I
And
mean,
they could take
that's
they
usually
could
what it is.
they could take She-Hulk everywhere. We could take her to hopefully joining the Avengers, hopefully joining Fantastic Four.
I hope She-Hulk meets Hercules when he shows up, because after watching Love and Thunder, I was like, ooh, might get to see a bisexual king Hercules.
Yes. Anna Budich is saying, Jay, long time no see. There you go, Jay Jericho. Anna saying hello to you. Um, I was gonna say too. What was the last comment you said, Ninja? About
I hope She-Hulk meets Hercules, because after watching Love and Thunder, like Hercules shows up and it's like, oh, cool. Let's see that bisexual king is what I'm saying.
By the way, I rewatched that because I had a weird experience with watching Love and Thunder in the theater. I was kind of
Yeah,
I was not expecting to watch a movie at 9 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday, so I
sure.
rewatched it. It's a great movie, man. I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, it's not as funny as Ragnarok." It's not supposed to be Ragnarok, right?
I
It's not.
found
What
well,
up, Jake?
so my issue with Love and Thunder is that it was I wouldn't say it's not as funny as Ragnarok. I honestly think it was trying to be too much like I think it was trying to be too funny was my problem with it. Like every time there was like a serious moment or a dramatic moment, they would undercut it with some kind of humor, which kind of just it just cuts the leg out of any kind of feeling that you would normally get from what's happening. So that's why for me it never really felt that deep, you know. Like you find out like Natalie Portman's character Jane has cancer, and you're kind of like, oh, well that kind of sucks, and then they kind of joke about it. Which I mean, I kind of understand that they don't want it to be too heavy, but I think that Taika leaned a little too far into the humor part of the movie, and could have benefited from reining it in a little bit.
Well, I do. I did watch one of the making ofs of one of the Thors and stuff. So I did like how he said, "Hey, for Ragnarok, we want more Chris Hemsworth. Whatever, like how you watch Ryan Reynolds and it feels like
Yeah.
you're watching a fucking Ryan Reynolds movie. Just it doesn't matter. It's just Ryan Reynolds, right?
Yeah.
They wanted that same type of like, hey, we want more Chris Hemsworth in here. We want more of you in here. So I think that's why people were kind of expecting Love and Thunder to be kind of funny like that. Jay, how did you feel about Love and Thunder, by the way? I don't know if we did cover Love and Thunder, actually.
I don't think we did.
Oh, we
No.
didn't. I mean, I liked it.
Did you enjoy it? Yeah.
Like,
What up, Christian?
Like my thing was, I like how they made Zeus overweight.
Oh, one of my favorite characters, Jason. Russell Crowe in there is amazing, right? How he runs down the stairs holding his skirt. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. What up, Christian?
But for me, I think it was because some of those kinds of things. Sorry, but some of those kinds of things, I feel like they were trying a little too hard to make it funny,
Yeah.
And
you're talking about with Ragnarok?
No, with Love and Thunder, like they're. I mean, if you think about it, what is the movie about, right? It's about like it's a rom-com. It's supposed to be a rom-com, but I think they went a little too far in the com part, with Thor and Jane's whole thing. It was I enjoyed it up to a certain point, because I again didn't really feel there. I felt like it was too unbalanced towards the comedy and not the romance, whereas it could have been a better balance. Thing with Gore, even though it's like, dude, he's killing gods, right? Like that's supposed to be a huge threat. We're talking like a Thanos level threat, like in the book, because I read the book. The guy is killing gods and simultaneously in 3 different time periods, right? That's how powerful he is, right? And it takes young Thor, present day Thor, and all father Thor to take him out in the book, right? I'm not expecting that, because that would be way too complicated, but he's that kind of a threat. And the Necrosword is that kind of a threat, and I feel like they were undercutting a lot of that feeling of anticipation or undercutting a lot of the feeling of maybe they won't get out of it,
How
and
did?
and
Oh,
that's
go
why
ahead.
I'm not, that's why I'm not like fully recommending Love and Thunder. Like I enjoyed it generally. There were parts of it that I really enjoyed. I loved how Mjolnir works in the book. I mean, in the movie, because it's a new way of seeing how Mjolnir works. In you know when Jane is using it,
I
but
love the way it would break apart.
how it breaks apart. Yeah.
So
Mhm.
fucking badass.
No, there's a lot of really cool things in there, but
Yeah.
I really wish that Taika had like reined in some of the craziness a little bit. Like everything's a joke, and I felt like that was a little too much.
It's funny because a lot of people were like, it wasn't funny at all. So it's kind of refreshing to hear your take of like, it was they were trying to be too funny. Card Hub here also put we didn't get much gore as we should have to understand how powerful he is. Would you guys agree
Yeah.
with that, Jay? Would
Yes.
you guys agree
Yeah.
with that?
Hmm.
And my
Yeah.
whole thing with
No, I mean, yeah.
MCU villains is they just never stick around. They're always dead by the end of the
Hmm.
movie, which kind of
Yeah.
like you want them to stick around and hopefully, not to say like, oh, I want a movie of just all the bad guys together. It's kind of like, no, I want guys kind of looming out there still.
Hmm.
Um, you know,
You always want that threat to still be there. And like I said, Gore in the comics fights Thor in three time periods simultaneously, right? That again, like I said, that's how powerful he is. All Father Thor is still alive at the end of the universe, and he has to deal with Gore the God Butcher. Him and his granddaughters have to go fight Gore, and then you have present day Thor having to fight Gore, and then you have unworthy Thor, basically like a
yeah,
young unworthy Thor fighting Gore the God Butcher, and it's just yeah, he's fucked up, and he does die. Spoilers: he does get killed at the end of the Thor book, but it takes a lot, and it takes
it
a
takes.
lot of like
He had a good run, right, for a couple of months
yeah.
of like,
Oh, it's amazing. It's one of the best stories, one of the best Thor stories I've ever read. I
who was the
recommend it
writer
all the time.
on that too?
I think it's Jason Aaron.
He's amazing,
I
dude.
believe it's Jason Aaron. It's
That
either
dude
him
is
or
amazing.
Kieran Gillen. For some reason, I always get Kieran Gillen and Jason Aaron mixed up. I don't know why. But yeah, his Thor, his Thor run is amazing. The artwork is amazing. Like it's just a great arc, and I recommend it to people who don't know anything about Thor, or if you are a Thor fan, to go pick up that run. It's so good, and it's so much more dramatic and serious, and there's so much feeling in that story that I was expecting a little bit of that in the movie, and I know it's Taika. I know it's going to be funny, and he's coming off Ragnarok. I get it. But like I said, I think they pushed the humor a little too much into like try hard territory. And that's why I don't think it worked for me.
Gotcha. Well, I did want to bring up too. It's so weird to if you were to look back from just the Thor series, right? The movies that just the Thor movies, not counting because of course he had a lot of development in the other movies, right? You got to
Mm-hmm.
see
Yeah.
more of Thor's humor in Avengers and all this stuff, but um, it's been a pretty good ride so far. Especially with remember how we joked around with the first movies, the first Thor movies, of how Jane Foster was super thirsting over Thor all the time, and then to kind of see her arc, go the way that it has. It's very cool. So I like what they're doing. I did want to ask you guys though, have you guys seen any of the trailers for the upcoming Marvel stuff that they got coming out? Jason, have you seen any of that stuff?
I try. I kind of did, but I tried not to.
Because there was
Uh,
one There was one trailer that I saw that just looked so amazing, and it happens to be with one of the properties of Marvel that's probably lesser known, and I'm talking
Oh,
about
Werewolf
Werewolf
by
by
Night.
Night.
Yeah.
If you guys haven't seen that trailer yet, it looks fucking amazing. I might be in the minority of that, but it's a throwback to those old
Mm-hmm.
Universal black and white movies. The way that it's cut, the way that it's shown, there's a little, there's like static, almost like a fake. It
Like
just looks
film.
like, yeah, it just looks really really cool. So
That
I love,
grittiness. Yeah.
yeah, I love the way they're going about with some of the stuff. I believe they dropped trailers for Werewolf by Night, Secret Invasion,
Yeah.
also.
Mm-hmm.
Jason, you said you tried to stay away from it, but which one did you see? Did you see any of those trailers, by the way?
I saw a little bit of Secret Invasion, like the beginning parts, and then I was like, nope, I'm not gonna.
You don't want to ruin it for
Nah, I
yourself.
don't. It's like shit.
No, that makes sense. I just never thought that. So I've never read Werewolf by Night. I mean, I know it's out there. I know it's a thing. I just never expected it to be a thing. Like, it's so obscure. Like, to the point where it's like, it's before my time, you know?
Correct. These are 70s books. I actually, it's funny too. Like, maybe a couple of months ago, I came across a Werewolf by Night comic featuring Blade. So it is a key issue. And I was able to, nab it for about $1. You know what I mean? And I loved it. Well, damn, I'm too bad I don't have it on me right now. But it has the. Remember how in the. Of course, the comic is from the 70s, but remember how, like in the movies, they would come across comic books where they're all kind of beat up, torn up. So I love the fact that I have a comic book that's all beat up and torn up. That's from the 70s. What's up to my girl DJ When Love in the building? How are you? Shout out to you. We're just nerding out real quick, talking about the MCU and all that stuff. So yeah, I hope you're doing well. Happy Friday to you. Please follow my homegirl DJ When Love. Amazing streamer here on Kumu as well. So yeah, I was gonna say, what are you guys excited about with the new stuff coming out? For me, it is gonna be Werewolf by Night. I am super excited for that. Jay, what about you? What are you excited? Are you excited to see Secret Invasion, Armor Wars, or whatever else they got coming out? What are you excited for?
To tell you the truth, since I didn't watch, I'm not sure. I can't
You're
tell
not
you.
really. You want to be surprised of what comes out, I guess.
Yeah,
Correct?
pretty much I do. Yeah.
Gotcha. What about you, Ninja? Is there a property that you're kind of excited?
I mean,
to
I honestly want to see what Werewolf by Night is going to be like, just because, first of all, it's an obscure title. I know nothing about it. It's about a werewolf. It's in black and white. The crazy thing about it is that the director is Michael Giacchino. He's a composer. Like, he does the music for like movies and stuff. Like, if you look him up, he does music for like huge things. Let me look up what he what he's famous for. Like, I believe he did the theme to Rogue One.
Oh wow.
Yeah, hold on. Let me look him up real quick.
Jason, by the way,
yeah.
Jason, by the way, are you caught up on Andor?
Oh, I didn't even know. Oh, when did it come out? Wednesday?
This week.
This week, yeah.
Oh, I didn't even get to watch it yet.
Well, we'll cover it then next week. We'll cover it next week then, because they dropped 3 episodes right away. Okay. So I think you're gonna have fun with this too, with this particular property too. So
yeah, and it's okay. So some of the stuff that this guy worked on as a film composer, Mission Impossible, Jurassic World, stuff in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Star Trek reboot series, Pixar movies like The Incredibles, Ratatouille, and Up. He also worked on like Super 8, Speed Racer, Rogue One, Zootopia, Spider-Man: No Way Home. Oh, he also was Thor: Love and Thunder. So yeah, this guy is pretty well known for being a composer of pretty big movies, and the fact that he's a director is like that's pretty interesting. I want to see how this turns out. So I am pretty interested in this one.
Nice.
I mean, obviously, yeah, I want to see what Secret Invasion is about, and is the Hulk gonna show up there? Because it seems like he might be showing up somewhere. I mean, the Hulk is in space, so he could show up anywhere. You know, I don't know. I nothing. There's nothing with Armor Wars at the moment, so I don't know what to expect from that. Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, the cartoon, is coming out, and it looks more like it's for kids, but I really did enjoy the comic, so I'll probably check that out and see how that is. But it's probably gonna be like I'm getting Teen Titans Go vibes from it, which for some people that may be good, some people that may be not good. So we'll see how that is.
One of my son's favorite shows too, Teen Titan Go. He loves how Robin is just such a depressed guy all the time, and he finds humor in that. Shout out to Ulfer who joined us. ¿Cómo está? Shout out to Iris Selma, Andrea, Seven. Hope you guys are doing well. Again, this is episode 156. 156, correct? Of the Hub 408. You're in the house with me, Ron Sara, Ninja Iceberg, Jay Jericho. We do have Kumu profiles. Make sure you guys are following us on here. If you happen to click on their live stream, maybe you might be seeing this same setup. We are here for you guys every Friday night, U.S. time, about 9:30. Saturdays for you guys out there in the Philippines, or if you happen to be living in a different time zone, you know what I mean? Shout out to you guys. We're gonna start wrapping up the show and all that stuff. Just wanted to talk a little bit about some of the other stuff going on. One thing I wanted to nerd out with you guys about right now. Sorry guys, you guys might have to leave now. Down there, we're gonna be talking just a quick moment of sports, real quick. When Jay came to my house, I think it was last week. I was doing a what was I doing? I was kind of doing a garage sale. I was selling Hot Wheels and all that stuff. So, we got to hang out. We got to talk a little bit. And let me write this here. Well, not really a situation, but I'm going to put it here. It is a situation to some extent. Jason, we were talking about that wasn't the one. We were talking about last week about the 49ers. We were talking about the 49ers. They had their first game. It was against the Chicago Bears. And me and Jason, we're spending time talking about it, and we're like, wow, dude, this guy couldn't even get past one of the worst teams in the NFL and all that stuff. And then sadly, on the second game of the season, he gets hurt. He gets injured within the first 5-10 minutes
season
of
ending.
the game. Season ending injury, and all of a sudden, to quote Peter Cetera, like a shining like a knight in shining armor from a long time ago. Jimmy G comes back, and he was able to lead the team to a win. Jason, you being a longtime 49er fan, what are your thoughts on the situation? Did you like seeing Jimmy G come back? I know me and you have talked about, hey, maybe Trey isn't ready, and all that stuff. So what are your thoughts on the most handsomest man besides Tim Brady? I choose Jimmy G over him being more handsomer than Tom. But how do you feel about the most handsomest man coming back to lead the team?
So this is the thing. It's like it's pretty much, if you look at the situation that Kansas City had, right, when Alex Smith was there, and then they drafted Patrick Mahomes, but Patrick sat for 3 years straight until he took the reins over. So it's a matter of the learning process of knowing the playbook, of knowing personnel, learning situational football, just things like that. So it's just like more of they felt the pressure, like, of course you feel the pressure of, hey, maybe we should play this guy. Jimmy has one more year. Let's see what we can do, trade him or whatnot. And then it's like, oh, he has surgery on his shoulder. Can't do anything with that. So let's just push Trey, make him work. And it sucks because it's like, this is the way I see it. It's like you do have two quarterbacks. They're on the same team. You should be cheering them on instead of trying to pick who's going to take over.
Yep.
That's the right way to do it. And the fact that there are a lot of people that wanted Trey to fail. That's some sad shit. And you're a Niner fan. You call yourself a Niner fan. You should take your ass and jump off the bridge, because that's not how a fan should be acting like.
Jason's telling you to go kill yourself, guys.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like you guys should be cheering your team no matter what the situation looks like. You guys should be cheering the player, making them, feel legit, because there's a split. You could feel the split between the fan base. It's like, oh, he got hurt. Okay, cool. But then you get Jimmy G coming back in, and then you hear this fucking big ass cheer, like, yay! That's not supposed to be. It's like you're supposed to be cheering both of them on to succeed. That's how it should work. Not.
I was gonna say, Jason, which is kind of crazy because people just wanted fucking Jimmy out of there. There was just
exactly, yeah.
Which is crazy to me, right? They just wanted Jimmy gone. Even last year, they were like, "We just want this guy gone."
It's the same fucking people. They don't know what the hell they want. That's hella crazy.
Or even some longtime Niner fans, maybe they were just like, "Well, we need to get Jimmy out of here already." And I'm like, "Why would you?"
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, So yeah, go ahead.
I thought. Yeah. So, Jimmy got healthy, but they're still looking for trade people. And then when I heard that they restructured the contract and he was only going to get $5 million just for being a backup. But when I saw the incentives, it's like, oh, okay. So if he plays at least half of the season, gets to
he's
this,
gonna get paid.
Then he gets 16.
Get fucking paid.
That's a smart deal, right? That's a very smart deal. Now look what happened. It's like it was a freak accident.
Correct.
Because I can't, because when I left the house, it was like the beginning of the second quarter, because we went to go get food, and then Trey was still in play, so I turned off the TV, and then halfway down to getting the food on the radio, all I hear is Jimmy Garoppolo completing a pass. I was like, what the hell's going on? So I thought they were just switching quarterbacks, trying to fool the defense.
For a play or two, right?
Yeah.
And then when I get to the spot,
as you do.
Yeah, when I get to the spot, the vendor, he was kind of watching the game. He's like, hey, did you see what happened to Trey? I was like, no, what happened? He got hurt. So I was like, what? So I looked all over, trying to look for the video. They had it on Twitter, and I watched it like probably 3 times. I was like, oh. I was like, in my head, like, that's either a high ankle sprain or that's a completely broken ankle. And sure enough, when I watched it for the 4th time, I saw his foot kind of dangling to the right, and I was like, oh no.
The dangle.
Yeah, the dangle. It wasn't really dangling, but it was just more to the right, and I was like, oh no.
It looked warped. Yeah.
And I was like, oh no, it's a broken ankle, and I could see it, and it's just like, oh man, I felt bad. Like he was just trying to be who he actually is. It's like, yeah, he's a mobile quarterback, but he still looks down the field to throw the ball. That's how a more mobile quarterback should be, just like how Patrick Mahomes was, and just like how Michael Vick was. Michael Vick was the prototype of a mobile quarterback that could throw in the pocket. So I kind of do see that in Trey. Hopefully he comes back healthy next season. If he has to sit out another year just to be 100% the following season, then that's all fine with me. And if we have to re-sign Jimmy G for one more season, then I'm all for it. It's more supporting the team, supporting who's playing. I have no picks, and it's crazy because it's like there are people that don't want him to fail, but at the same time, they just don't feel comfortable with Trey being the lead quarterback in a team that's
Correct.
already with a team that's already ready and primed to win a Super Bowl championship. So it's it's like you give and take with what you got. And I was giving my coworker a situation. It's like, what if Jimmy G this time takes him to the promised land and actually wins the Super Bowl? Then are you gonna resign him, or are you just gonna let him
No,
walk?
it'll be like a Trent Dilfer
Yeah.
situation, probably. Where
Well-
where you just need a manager, like literally, you
Yeah,
just
well,
need a
no, pretty
manager,
much.
because they're more of a running team, anyways, right?
Yeah.
But obviously, when Jimmy G came in, the offense was really moving at that point, So,
Yeah, what are your thoughts, Ninja, about this situation?
I mean, I understand they wanted to go younger. I get it. But I will say there are a lot of moments, at least in preseason, when Trey Lance looked really, really good. But if you really you're watching the games, he's just not as accurate, right? Like he's just not quite there in terms of accuracy, and that is definitely something that will that is definitely something that he'll work on and get better at, right? It is a tough decision to decide, hey, now is the time to bring on the new person as your starter. Like when do you make that decision? Because Jimmy G wasn't like super terrible, right? Like he's not like top 10
There's a lot more QBs out there that are like fucking horrible.
Way worse, right?
Yeah, that's starting. They have a starting job and blah blah blah, and Jimmy's a backup.
Is Jimmy G elite? No, he's not elite, but he's not bad.
Yeah.
But he's not bad, right? But then you have Trey Lance, and he's kind of unknown, and you're replacing a very competent, very good quarterback with someone who's basically unproven, right? When is a good time for that to happen, right? Like obviously the last time the Niners had like a really, really messed up quarterback situation was Joe Montana, Steve Young, right?
That's when it was going to come around to me, I wanted to bring a whole bunch of stuff regarding that.
That was the big one. I mean, obviously the Niners had some other ones, but that was the big one. This is not that situation.
Correct.
But making that decision is no less hard, right? Do you go with someone who's proven and can get you W's, or do you go with someone that has like zero track record and who may or may not be up to the task? It's a hard decision, and I don't envy them for making it, but it does seem like they were pushing a little harder than I thought they should have been.
Mm-hmm. Well, just to kind of piggyback off that point, that's one thing that I've, even though I am a Niner fan and stuff, I'm not an idiot. I know the history of what we've gone through, and it just seems like we always get stuck in these situations of us having two great quarterbacks, whether somebody's ready or not, or somebody has to be. Remember during the Steve Young, Joe Montana debacle. Yes, Joe Montana was getting fucked up. He was very unhealthy because a lot of the hits that he was, and by the way, it was a different NFL back then too, right? It was just a different time back then. But even the way they handled that situation, a lot of criticism, right, from either the fans or just the league itself. But it turned out, I guess, good for everybody involved, especially for Steve Young, who, pretty much got paid, Joe paved the way for him to step up and to become a legend. And then, you fast forward a couple of years later, and then you get kind of the same situation with Alex Smith and Cap, and whether people were ready or not. And people are like, well, Alex took us here. Why not, give him a chance, blah, blah, blah. So my whole thing is
didn't Alex also get injured for Cap to come in?
Yeah, concussion.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But at the same time, we're just always stuck in these situations of like, hey, are we advancing these people too much? Like what Jay brought up with Patty Mahomes, right? He learned on the sidelines. He learned the craft. He was there all the time, and when it was time for him to step up, he's here now.
Yeah.
To talk about Trey Lance, where the guy, and we're talking about career wise, right? I don't think I'm flubbing up the numbers too much here, but he's only had a handful of experience playing in football games. So when they were talking about last year of get rid of Jimmy G, trade him off already, so Trey Lance can step up, I was not on that boat. Even though it's like I do want people like him to succeed and all that
Yeah.
stuff, I just didn't think it was ready. And I've always said like, hey, I'm gonna stick with the last guy that's gone and took us somewhere before I'm gonna go
Yeah.
off and Christian you guys. So like when I see hardcore fans just like us automatically either choosing sides or saying, hey, this is yeah, he's the future. I get that. But
Mhm.
is it ready now?
Yeah. Is it now? Yeah. Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
it now?
I mean, right.
So
Right. I mean, you
so it
look at
just
like Aaron Rodgers sat for a while before he went in, right? I mean, there. I know you don't want to pay someone to basically sit on the bench, but and this is, I guess this has always been the argument, right? Or this has always been the debate of when to start the new quarterback, right? Like that's always a debate, and it's always a debate of whether or not sitting someone is better or letting them, trial by fire is better. Like obviously there are some people who come into the NFL as a quarterback and fit right in, and they're ready to go, right? Like I think Peyton Manning was a starter year one, right? Eli Manning was a starter year one, I think. I want to say. So yeah, you have people who are ready to go right off the bat, right? And if they're ready for it, then they're ready for it. But then you have people like Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers who had to sit for a while. I think even
even
Tom Brady had to.
yeah,
Tom Brady had to sit
I was gonna
a
bring
couple
him up.
years.
Who did he play
Yeah.
behind?
Drew
Drew
Bledsoe.
Bledsoe.
And Drew, and by the way, I was just thinking about this the other day. Drew Bledsoe kind of, I guess, him getting hurt paved the way for a lot of, you know what I mean, for guys to kind of step up and do their thing, which is kind of crazy. But yeah,
Yeah.
you just brought up right now, like what, arguably the GOAT of football, Tom Brady, had to also sit back for a little bit, learn the craft on the sidelines, learn how to be a QB the correct way and all that stuff. And look where he's at now. He's like fuck, how many years has he been playing now? But I mean,
Yeah,
he's
he's
still
still
here.
playing.
He's killing it right now, So although things are a little tough for for Tom right now, right? Like his, he's dealing with like his wife talking about, oh
Yeah.
man, you promised me,
Yeah.
you promised me you wouldn't work no more, and so
And
a little bit of his.
what's up with the press conference? Did you see the picture of him at the press conference where he looks gaunt? He's like
Just
his cheeks are sunken and shit. Like what is happening here?
he's going through it. He's going through it. So yeah, any last thoughts on the Niners going forward? By the way, did you see like all of a sudden when he got hurt, all the pictures of Jimmy smiling with just all the news articles with him smiling? It was so, how do you say it? It was kind of bittersweet. Like the guy's fucking happy, but you're also feeling for the guy that got hurt too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Jay,
and the way, that's never really the way you want to. I mean, get your job right by default.
Yeah.
It's not because you're necessarily better. It's the fact that there's no other option, right? No one wants no one wants that job, that spotlight like that. And even if he does make it to the Super Bowl and whatnot, it's like, well, just think about it. It might not have been him, right? if not for a freak accident of Trey Lance going down. So that will always be in the back of your mind. It's never going to be a clean win,
just real quick, I remember watching the game live, and I hit you guys up in the group chat. I was like, oh shit, it's Jimmy G time, and I almost felt kind of guilty, You get what I'm saying? I almost felt kind of guilty to cheer that on because I have nothing against Trey. I have nothing against Trey, but
Sure.
I do believe I didn't want. I was just I might have been in the minority of this, but I didn't think he was ready for the season. Like, dude, let him sit for another year, at least
Yeah.
another year, and all that stuff.
I
So
mean, it's easy to say that, especially after the Chicago game, right?
correct.
Like, he did not look good in that game. Obviously, the conditions were not ideal, but still, you shouldn't. You're still a professional NFL quarterback.
Well, one thing that me and Jay talked about, though, remember, Jay, I told you, well, if he's supposed to be that good, he shouldn't have had no problem, right, with a Bears team like that. You know what I
But
mean? So
yeah, but at the
Yeah.
same time, it's like that's the game they lost Elijah Mitchell, so that was their entire running game, and then the
I
backups
mean,
could not do anything.
I guess that the
Yeah.
part of that is obviously coaching didn't
Oh yeah, of
prepare
course.
them well enough, and they couldn't pivot better when Elijah Mitchell went down, right?
and Shanahan has
So
been getting a lot of criticism of like, yo, I think you might have fucked up on this one with the way that you were positioning or calling for certain plays or whatever it is.
mm,
So Jay, just to wrap up this segment, what are your final thoughts regarding the Niners situation moving forward?
They'll be fine. Just as I mean, to be honest, I'm only
We're at
expecting
least
10 wins
playoff
this year.
bound, right? We're at least playoff bound.
Oh
You
yeah,
think, Jay?
like 10 wins is a playoff bound team, so it's not like it's as long as you win 10, you're in the top 7. That's all you need to do is make the top 7 in the playoffs, and you're in. Because after that, records don't mean shit. That's being honest. In any sport, records don't mean a damn thing. And if you think you do, I could say this like with confidence. My Oakland A's team was at 120 plus win team, and they got bounced out of the divisional playoff round. So, like I said, records don't mean shit in the playoffs.
Until you get
Records
to the promised
records
land,
do
right?
mean a lot of stuff in the regular season. Just as long as you get into the top 7, you're good. And that's where I see
yeah.
the Niners is they're a top 7 team in the NFC. So just as long as you get that 10 plus win season, you're good to go. So that's where I see them. And with probably Jimmy, they could be an 11 win team season. So
What
give or
about you,
take.
Waldo? Any final thoughts on moving forward with the Niners?
Um, I mean, I do still think that they're going to be okay. I mean, they're again
Yeah.
because they're primarily a running team. As long as you can do that, I think it'll be okay. It's a little bit more traditional if you think about it, because obviously back in the day, running was the primary thing for most teams, right?
Mm-hmm.
You run to set up the pass, and obviously it's a lot more complicated these days. But I think if they can still maintain a good running game, um, I think they'll be all right. Their defense is still pretty solid, so um, yeah, I don't see why they wouldn't make it to the playoffs. I mean, barring like catastrophic like losses in terms of like injury and whatnot, I just can't see it. I mean, yeah, like I said, running is a very traditional, very conservative way to do it. If you can move the ball, which I think they can, they should be fine. Their defense again solid. I mean, look at what they did to Seattle last game, and against Chicago, they were still pretty solid,
Pick them
right?
apart. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were still really good, really solid. So I think they'll be okay. I think they'll make the playoffs.
Yeah, moving forward, I hope Jimmy stays healthy. I hope he's able to get us, just like what Jason said, at least 10 wins. At least we're playoff bound. And man, a lot of props and respect to Jimmy for the way he's handled his entire journey leading up to this, right? Of
Yeah,
like
it was such a weird
it's
off season. Yeah,
it's such a weird off season with him just kind of being quiet, just kind of like, you know what, let me pull back on this. I don't want to add too much controversy. I don't want to do any of this. And I think the way that his contract was restructured too, I was like, hey, I'm happy that this guy's gonna get his money, being one of the most highest paid backups ever. You know,
Yeah.
with incentives is what Jason was talking about too. With the
Yeah,
incentives,
I mean, he was only getting 5 mil, but see, that's the thing. When he started smiling on camera, he knew he was getting that 16 million. So
and Jason, you know what I think is motivation for him? I think because he signed and took this deal, this guy has something to prove. You
yeah,
know what I mean? He has
Sure.
literally
Sure.
like he could have just been like, all right, fine. You know, if the injury never went down, I think he would have been in a good place where, okay, I'll get a couple of snaps. Maybe, you know, if the guy, you know, if the young guy needs some rest later on, you know, we could be you know, using Jimmy, you know, in a game
Hmm.
or two, you know, then and
Yeah.
then maybe making it to the promised land. So to see where he's at right now, of course, I'm happy for the guy. I feel bad for Trey, but it's kind of cool to see. Hey, it kind of worked out. Just one more thing I wanted to touch on before we go to Recos, because this is kind of in the news right now too. What you think about this situation right here? We're talking about the Boston Celtics drama of the head coach having an inappropriate relationship with one of the staffers when he is married to, you know, I don't mean to objectify.
Nia Long.
I don't mean to objectify, but Nia Long is one of the baddest females ever in the his. And this is just me. She's one of the baddest ever. And for God, what's the coach's name? Ime, what's his name?
Yeah. Shoot, I don't remember his name.
But there's been a lot of controversy though, Jay, of like, I think it was Stephen Smith that kind of brought this up, and I was like, you know what, that's kind of a hot take on that. He goes, you know what? I blame the Boston Celtics for putting out this drama when white folks, white coaches, white whoever, they always get into this kind of drama, but when it's a black coach doing this kind of stuff, y'all put that out there and y'all put the drama out there. Ime Udoka. Thank you so much to Card Hub, who's still here. And he had also put, damn, things got serious when it shifted to the 49ers. Well, we are hardcore Niner fans here. So, you know, you're going to get some 49ers talk. You'll get some Warriors talk also, you know, when the season starts too. But this is what's been dominating the headlines right now. Jay, I just want to hear real quick your take on this whole thing. Would you have cheated on a fucking somebody that, I don't know. I don't mean to be a jerk. It's kind of like well, you know, we have our toxic takes on here, but it's like, man, let me see that broad first, you know, before you show me, you know, because you got Nia Long at home. She got to be better than Nia Long, is what I'm saying. If I'm gonna go and risk it all, you know what I mean. So Jay, you know, what's your take on this situation? Messy.
you cheated on Nia Long. You a dumb.
That's what I'm saying. That's
That's
what
it.
I'm saying.
That's all I got. It's like, come on, man.
Oh
Come
my
on.
goodness.
Yeah. How you gonna fumble that bag, right?
Come
And I love the classy response though that she gave out. She was like, "Hey, we're trying to heal. You know, I got kids
I mean,
with you."
what else is? Yeah, what's she gonna say?
on. What else did you say? This motherfucker sleeping on the couch. She's sleeping outside in the car. Or what?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's not being messy with it. Which, and Nia Long has never been messy ever. Also, she's in a way she's kind of like Hollywood royalty, where she does certain projects. She gets a lot of love. She has a huge fan. I loved her ever since the Fresh Prince. Remember, she was on the Fresh Prince as a Will's a longtime girlfriend and stuff. So I've always been a fan. And of course, Friday. You know, we're all fans of the first Friday movie. You know, with her in it. So yeah, Ninja. What about you? What's your whole take on this? Or any thoughts on Stephen A. Smith's take too? Of like, you know what? He brought up a good take that no one's really talking about. Of, hey, white folks do this all the time. Yet when it happens to be a black coach that this happens, y'all put it out there, and he was kind of blaming the organization for being messy. So you know what's your take on this?
I'm not gonna get into that side of you know, the politics, because people are gonna litigate that all day, and Yeah,
I see
we
Jason's.
know. We know.
I see Jason's head working. So real quick, Jason, did you have a comment that you wanted to make?
I'm just saying it's the only reason why it's being brought up because it's Nia Long, man. Why?
True.
Why would you do that?
I mean,
But they're
That's
not. They're not
yeah.
putting her name. They're not putting her name in the article, which I'm kind of.
I know, but I'm just saying.
Which is kind of weird, right? They're not
Yeah.
saying like, oh, he is married to
Yeah, I'm just
Hollywood
saying, but
actress
I
Nia
mean,
Long.
I think it's also the fact that they were in the finals last year, right? So his profile is definitely a lot bigger right now, right?
Card
he's
Hub is
definitely
also
a lot
saying.
more well known.
Card Hub is also saying reports say the players knew what was happening, so they kind of, which is super messy, right?
That is such a mess. That is such a mess,
dude. You're supposed to be the coach.
What a mess!
And you can't even get your. Oh my god! I'm not going to condone cheating.
You think Marcus Smart is going to be like respecting you now? I mean, that dude is fucking like.
Well, he's been suspended for 1 year, right? And another coach is going to be taking over. Probably still using, of course, the same playbook and all that stuff that they've been using. Who knows if they'll make it to the finals this year again? You know, I mean, you're still dealing with, the Warriors. You know, we're still here. You know, so it's trouble for everybody else. You know what I mean? In my opinion,
Warriors just re-signed Andre Iguodala, so who knows what's going to happen?
Which is crazy,
but the thing
right?
I want,
20 years now on the team.
Yeah, the thing I actually wanted to comment on though,
go ahead,
is the fact that Jamal Bowman, the he's a U.S. House candidate, tweeted, "Sending nothing but love to Nia Long. We're not letting a man who didn't recognize the luxury her presence was dim all her beauty and glory.
Yes.
Matter of fact, we need a Nia Long national holiday." So this dude is running for office for U.S. House of Representative for New York. Tweets that out, and everyone is like, "Yo, you're shooting your shot. This is how you shoot your shot. What are you doing?"
He's trying to swoop in.
Everything on Twitter is saying, "You're shooting your shot. You're shooting your shot. You're shooting your shot." He responds by saying, "Ha ha ha, y'all hilarious. Y'all do know it's okay for a man to show a woman love and support without shooting his shot. That's actually a thing." And it's like, all right, bro.
Trying to swoop.
That's actually
trying to swoop.
That's honestly way more funny to me than that's way more interesting to me than anything else. Just because it's like, oh, dude, are you actually trying to shoot your shot, bro? I mean, you're trying to run for office and shoot your shot. I'm like,
that's what I was about to get to.
Okay.
Kind of a scumbag move, huh? It's, you see the underlying. You see the underlying in there. What do you think, Jay?
I don't know.
You're trying to swoop and scoop, man.
Card Hub is also saying the Celtics most likely ain't getting to the finals for the next 2 years. Is Card Hub's opinion. Shout out to Gian Alduin also. ¿Cómo está? Welcome to this episode of the Hub 408. Guys, we gave you guys an extra hour tonight. We're going to get into recommendations. We have not been streaming for a month. We've gone through some stuff in our lives that have kept us away from the Hub, but I'm glad that we're here for you guys tonight. So I was going to say, Jason, we haven't seen you in a long time. We haven't seen Waldo in a long time. Shout out to also our other members, Steve Rumer and Joff Suarez, are not here with us tonight too. But Jason, any recommendations for the Hub? What can you recommend to us?
Yeah. Actually, I just wanted to ask Waldo. So
yeah, go ahead.
Rise of the Resistance.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Just the entire experience.
Yep.
From beginning to end.
Oh, he did an hour.
Man, I missed it. I'll watch it later then. Never mind. I'll watch it later.
Yeah, you did an hour.
I'll watch it later. Sweet. So you enjoyed it that much, huh?
You've ridden it, right?
Yeah, twice. It's amazing.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. It's amazing.
I mean, I did. Yeah, it's amazing. And I basically just say that the stuff that happens in the middle of you lining up for the ride is like ridiculous. Like it blew my mind. It's like, wait, we're still in line?
That's the
Yeah.
most amazing part about it. It's great.
It blew my mind. Like the actual ride is good. The actual ride is really good. I don't know if it's the same everywhere, but at least when you went to Disneyland, right? You went to the one in Disneyland?
Yeah. I did.
So I mean I don't know if it's the same thing, but either way, the ride itself is really cool. It's really fun. It's not on rails, so I'm kind of like, oh, how do they do this? You know, I haven't looked it up yet, but I'm just like, oh, how do they do this? But yes, the entire experience is an experience. It's an experience. Yeah. Your line waiting is an experience. The fact that I'm sitting here in line, getting berated by Imperial First Order officers, is like, oh, this is hilarious.
It's amazing. I tried getting out at one point. I was just like, "Oh man, this is great."
One of my coworkers was giving them lip because they kept talking about, "Oh, you need to line up on the orange, and you need to line up on the silver." And then my buddy was like, "Well, what if I'm colorblind? Then you follow your group. What if they're all colorblind? Then I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you, man." I was just like, "Dude, why are you being an asshole to the guy? He's just trying to play his part." Trying to be a first order officer, just trying to tell you where to line up, and you're being a dick, dude. Why are you doing this? But it was just funny. But yeah, they're supposed to be like, kind of mean,
and they play along with it. It's like that made me wanna I wanted to like, damn, where can I apply to be that Imperial officer?
Yeah,
just to berate.
You get paid to berate and be a jerk to people.
Yeah,
sort of. From what I understand,
Disney standpoint, yes.
Yeah. From what I understand in the beginning, they went a little too hard. Like they were yelling at kids too. From what I've heard.
I love it.
You gotta
yell at the kids.
I saw that my first run.
I thought that was kind of
it was amazing.
And I think people complained about that because they're not as mean anymore. They try to play with you a little bit, but they won't go too hard. So I'm like, okay, that's fair. Because why would you fucking yell at kids about that? That's fucked up.
but they're supposed to you know, impersonate Imperial officers looking for spies.
Yeah.
So it's just like, you know,
no,
why not yell at the kids? I mean, I'd hell would be yelling at kids.
It's still a ride. So. But yeah, I mean, if you wanna hear my opinion on that, I guess just watch because I also talk about Guardian of the Galaxy, the Cosmic Rewind.
That's I've watched videos and that's a badass ride too.
Okay, so you watch videos. I didn't want to spoil it because for me, part of the experience was actually not knowing what to expect, and I tried not to give away too much about it. But that honestly blew my mind. Like Rise of the Resistance, I thought was amazing, but Guardians was just another level for me.
Yeah,
I said, when
watch the replay and hear Ninja. I don't want to give it away, but Ninja had a pretty good. You can see the joy on Ninja's face.
It's so good.
During that episode.
So good.
So it's
dude, Ron,
the first hour of the thing.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
No, I'm broke, dude. I'm broke.
I know. I'm just saying, like, if and when you get that chance, dude. No, you know what? Rise is an experience, man.
Rise is amazing. Yeah.
I know it's not the same. But you know what I do watch? I watch those videos of the people recording that shit, doing the walkthrough of stuff where they're actually filming their whole experiences. And I haven't seen it yet because I was just like, you know what? I don't want to click on that, yet. But I fell in a wormhole of like I've been on Space Mountain before, but to actually watch it full screen on your thing, it seems like you're actually there, which was kind of cool. So I might go through that again.
The Space Mountain that blows my mind, you can still watch a video of it, is Lights on Space Mountain. That shit is that's cool. Insane, that is so cool. I've never experienced it, but I watched a YouTube of it and it looks so cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I was going to say shout out also to Card Hub. I sent I got your request from a thing. If you guys are down with this, I'm pretty sure the guys at the hub they wouldn't mind. I would love to do a card hub and the hub for look. He has card hub. He has a hub in his name. You know what I mean? So I would love to do a card hub 408 collab for the next episode. Just let us know in the comments, card, if we can make that happen. Bring your crew, we'll get our crew. We'll send each other the links, and we could all be on screen and do this all at the same time. So if you're down to do this, let us know in the comments. So we're going to be wrapping this up. We're going to go through some recos right now. Go ahead, Jay. What's up?
I only got one reco, and that's watch season 5 of Cobra Kai. That shit was fucking amazing. That's all I got.
Oh.
That's all. When I heard that they dropped the F-bomb, I was like, I am in this shit for the long haul. I binge watched that the entire night on the first night.
Me too. Amazing. Ninja, are you caught up with Cobra Kai?
No, I haven't caught up.
Oh,
wait, are you caught up until the season, or are you a couple seasons behind?
No, I'm still working on season 1.
Oh shit.
Oh man.
It progressively gets better every season. That's all I gotta say.
This could be. I don't know if we're gonna get a season 6. I'm pretty sure we'll get.
It's already in the works.
If we were to end it here, I'd be okay with that though too. But it would allow me to want more though, just because the writing is just so good. Not only that, we get to see things that I would have never seen. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my man Chosen. He is my absolute favorite.
Hell yeah.
he's my favorite character out of the whole thing. I've talked about how this is almost like watching a real life anime. Oh, I'm sorry, anime, right? It's almost like watching, rival schools going at it, right? Dojos, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It just encompasses so many storylines and subplots and stuff like that. And God, Jason, that's such a great reco right there. I didn't even think about that because that's probably one of the best things that I've seen just on my television. Just for everything, it's just so great. Yeah.
And
even Card Hub, Card Hub had said this is one of the best written seasons of the show. I believe it got 100%, right, on Rotten Tomatoes.
I think it did, yeah. And even this is the crazy part. They greenlit 2024 for another Karate Kid movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's a sequel to the original, so I think it's just going to be a continuation of Cobra Kai into this new movie. So
wow, they're getting 6 seasons in a movie before Community is getting 6 seasons in a movie.
Community.
What the fuck? What the fuck?
All right. Well, that's great recommendations right there.
Yeah, that's all I
got. Card Hub here has a good one here. He said, "Do you think Kenny from Cobra Kai, do you think Kenny will be taking over Jaden's character?" that's kind of it could be possible, right? I will say I might be in the minority. I was in the Philippines when I saw, what was that, the next Karate Kid or the new Karate Kid, whatever that was, with Jackie Chan. So I actually thought it was okay. I didn't get to hear
I didn't hate
noise.
I didn't hate it.
Yeah.
I didn't hate it.
And I loved anything that has Jackie Chan in it too. I'm a big JC fan, so I didn't mind that also. So yeah. But I was gonna say, Ninja, what about you? What is your recommendation for this episode of the Hub?
Oh, I got a couple.
All right.
New
by the way,
of
just real quick, when we're talking about just opening up our recommendations, Card Hub here had talked about he goes, Pillars of the Earth series. He was actually recommending that for us to check out. That's a
couple years old, isn't it?
I'm not familiar with that series, to be honest with you. So hey, I'll check that out. From a fellow nerd to another, I'll go ahead and I'll do my research on that. So all right, Ninja, go ahead. What are your plenty recos? that you got for
Yeah,
this season?
I got a couple. New episode or new season of Great British Bake Off is out. Episode 2 episodes.
One of your
season
favorite,
10.
one of your favorite series, right?
Yeah, I love that show. It is one
Yep.
of my favorites. Season 10. 2 episodes is out for that. Cyberpunk Edge Runners.
Oh,
I
Netflix.
recommend that. It's
Oh.
on Netflix.
That's
Really
on my
good.
queue.
It's based off of the Cyberpunk 2077 game. Studio Trigger is the animation house that's making it. If you like Kill La Kill, they're the same studio that does that. So it's a little absurd in some of the things that they do. It's very loose with like physics and reality. That's what they're kind of. That's kind of what they're about. I feel like, because if you ever watched their Star Wars Visionaries episode,
Mhm.
it kind of breaks the boundaries of like everything. Like the laws of physics, the laws of reality, the laws of everything kind of just goes out the window. And Cyberpunk Edge Runners kinds of lends itself to their style of crazy visuals, things that are just like mind bending, that kind of thing. So Cyberpunk Edge Runners, She-Hulk for sure. I'll recommend that as well. Ring of Powers, I'm personally enjoying that. I think it's actually a really good show so far. Again, oh my god, Black Elves. Yeah. Sandman. I don't know if we had a chance to ever talk about Sandman.
We touched a little bit
Sandman
on that, yeah. Mm-hmm.
is such. Oh, yeah, you're right. I think we did. I forgot. And Andor. Andor. I binged all 3 episodes on my flight back from Florida this week, and holy crap, it is really
Great.
good.
Yeah.
There's a character in the show called the Time Grappler.
Mm-hmm.
That guy is so fucking cool. I want to know his story. Like, nothing about this guy. But his name's called. But his name. He doesn't. They don't even say his name in the show. You have to actually like look at the IMDb, look at the credits, or look at like the subtitles to know who I'm talking about. But the fact that his name is Time Grappler, it's like, how did he get this name? It blew my mind when I found out that's his name. Okay, I'll tell you who it is. It's the bell guy in the show. So in the show, in the town that the show is set in, there's a dude that sits on top of a clock tower, and he has these 2 hammers, and all he does is like hit this slab of metal. That's it. And he's called he's called the Time Grappler. I want to know that dude's story. But yeah, Andor otherwise so good. Like the plot is kind of slow. It's kind of a slow burn series so far, but the world that they're creating, the world that they're building, the whole, just what is Cassian Andor about so far is very compelling. I don't know why. I just want to keep watching and seeing where it goes. I know where it goes eventually, but I want to see where the story takes me. It's 5 years before the Battle of Yavin, right? It's set 5 years before A New Hope. So we know how all that ends, but what is this dude's story? What is Cassian Andor all about? Why does he do what he does? I didn't think I would be interested in this story, but after seeing the trailers, after seeing like some of the behind the scenes stuff, seeing that most of the stuff is filmed on location and not in the volume is interesting to me. I know the volume is a technological marvel, and after watching Mandalorian, it works, right?
Yeah.
But then I feel like them using it a little too much. They were leaning on it a little too much, and like subsequent shows just were not as were not as lived in, I want to say.
Yeah.
Like Boba Fett and Obi-Wan didn't feel lived in, whereas this show, Andor, really feels like these are real places,
Yeah.
grimy, gritty,
Yep.
like the just this is the dark side of fighting a revolution. It's not clean. It's gonna be messy. People are gonna get murdered, like straight up. So and yeah, I think at one point in time, one of the characters says shit in the show, and you're like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
this is not a
Yep.
this is not your normal Star Wars show. It's a little bit older, so it definitely has that Rogue One feel to it. So yeah, I recommend that.
All right. Shout out also to Card Hub. They're saying shout out to my all-time favorite horror movie, The Autopsy of Jane Doe. So hey, very
I
cool.
saw that.
So I was gonna say, Card Hub. Hopefully, you and your crew, if you could kind of, let them know the flow of our show. We're gonna probably ask for your guys' recommendations and all that stuff. But we're gonna have fun next week with the Card Hub and his crew. I got a couple of recos here. About a year ago, we lost one of my, I don't know about you guys, but one of my favorite comedians of all time, Norm Macdonald. We lost him a year ago. So to kind of reflect back on, Conan O'Brien wrote something the other day about him being gone from us. And it was a eulogy, but it was, they released this thing that he said where I guess he had a memorial for Norm Macdonald, and they basically released Conan's in text form. You could actually read it online right now about who Norm Macdonald was to him. What's up to my man Charlie Mack out there? Shout out to you. So Norm Macdonald put out a special right before he was going to go in for some treatment, and it was the last thing that he recorded, and it's called Nothing Special. It's on Netflix right now. He does about 54 minutes of material, then it's followed by a panel of some of the greatest comedians of all time. You get Dave Chappelle, David Letterman, David Spade, Adam Sandler, and Molly Shannon, and Conan O'Brien. They talk about Norm's legacy. So these guys know for the past maybe 2 years of us doing the hub, 2 or 3 years now. I forget how long we've been on Kumu now, but I've snuck in my Norm Macdonald jokes on here because I'm just such a fan that I just love his material, and I would sneak in a lot of his stuff here. So a lot of the long-winded, dirty Johnny jokes and all that stuff. There's this one thing that Conan said in his memorial. He was like, "Let's tell us jokes. Let's even though it's hard, but let's go and tell us jokes and keep his legacy on." But if you guys were to watch this special, which is called Nothing Special, which is far from the truth, it's awesome. Dave Chappelle said that he's seen another comedian doing their set in front of a computer and having no audience at all, and it didn't hit right. But then when you watch this particular piece by Norm Macdonald, you can tell where the audience is supposed to laugh or cringe or whatever, and he just plays into it. So shout out to Norm Macdonald for that. One of the greatest of all time. And to be honest with you, he is somebody that I listen to every night. I basically put Norm Macdonald in my head every night, and I just go to sleep and I watch that stuff. If you want to watch more of his shows, used to be on Hulu before, but I believe on archive, I think it's archive.com or archive.net. They actually took all his shows, all his episodes, so you can watch it on there. They pulled it from YouTube when they got his show on Netflix called Norm Macdonald has a show or something like that. This is a more raw. They'll go for an hour or two, but they have so many jokes on there that this guy just wasn't afraid of his comedy. You know what I mean? So I will always push this guy as probably one of the greatest comedians of all time. I always had guys like Pryor Richard Pryor or George Carlin in my top 3, but I gotta put Norm probably at my top 1 or 2. I haven't just listened to this much material from one comic in a long time. So shout out and rest in peace to Norm Macdonald. Another recommendation that I thought I would never even be recommending just because of all the hate that it was getting until I watched it. And I was like, it's not that bad. To where it's like I actually watched it twice. And it's a Marvel movie, not part of the MCU, but Morbius. I checked out Morbius, and it was actually not fucking bad. It's a popcorn flick, Ninja and Jay. It was kind of cool. So, Morbius again, character that came out in the 70s, got its steam during the 80s and the 90s, of especially in the 90s too, Ninja, where like they were just putting out just a whole bunch of Morbius stuff,
extreme
right?
stuff.
Yeah.
Midnight Suns. Yeah.
Yes. So got to check it out. Not too much fan service. I think one thing that me and Ninja were talking about earlier is how we liked Andor, how there wasn't that much, there's no Easter eggs. There's no fan service. There's none of that.
Yeah,
So to watch kind of a superhero or anti-superhero Marvel movie or whatever it is, yeah, there's some stuff in there. I'm not going to ruin it for you. There's some stuff there that kind of connects it to a bigger universe, but I actually found the movie quite enjoyable. Card Hub here is saying, "Oh, Morbius was good," and Damon was a great villain for Morbius too. He's referencing Damon from House of the Dragons of things. So I was gonna say, "What's up to Mike D? How are you?" So that's one recommendation, and I have a really obscure recommendation. I don't know how I fell into this wormhole that I fell into. If you got an hour for yourself, just less than an hour, please listen to the original broadcast of War of the Worlds, which was a young Orson Welles.
We're talking Orson Welles. Okay, yeah. Huh?
A young Orson Welles who, because of this thing, if you guys don't know, War of the Worlds was before the times of television, correct? They basically put out this program on radio to where aliens was invading the United States, and they played it real to where it actually caused a panic within the United States of holy shit, there's aliens here.
Yeah.
And what's so cool about listening to this is I listen to this at night too. I happen to listen to it at night, so I have my eyes closed. I'm actually visualizing and hearing everything. Mm-hmm. And to kind of, I did some research on it. Orson Welles actually directed and cutted a lot of the sound audio footage. He basically directed where it was going. It runs about 54 minutes. Card Hub saying, now that's a recommendation. It is, right? It's before our time. So to hear a broadcast like that was just bizarre, entertaining, and it really made you feel like if I was in the I don't know when that came out, 1940s or 50s, whenever that was, but to hear that type
1938.
1938. There you go. Oh, fuck, I wasn't even close. But to hear a radio broadcast of that is awesome. And to make it even more fun, when you read the comments, Ninja, some people on YouTube, they get into arguments in the comment section.
Yeah.
Some guy was like, oh, I loved it. I remember it like it was yesterday. And some guy under was like, bro, you're like 90 years old right now. How the fuck can you even remember something? And the 90-year-old was hitting back all the comments talking about, just because I'm 90 years old, you don't think I can use YouTube? Like, dude, I listen. He goes, dude, I listened to this when I was a kid. We believed that this actually fucking happened. And it's so crazy to read the comments and you just see so many people like, dude, I was, I listened to this with my family. or like my dad heard it and was Cardhub was saying probably Kyrie Irving's granddad. But like
Yeah.
to hear not only the audio, it's very good because you had to have so many actors. I mean,
Yeah.
they're voice acting, but to have this entire production still on YouTube that we can listen to, it's very, very, very fucking cool, and even funnier to read the comments of a whole bunch of 80-year-old, 90-year-old men talking about, dude, I'm not that old. I
Yeah.
remember it. I can use YouTube. Why do you have why do you have a these young kids are like there's this one comment too that I really liked about how an elementary school teacher basically told their class, hey, did you know in the 1930s that the aliens actually invaded? So this teacher actually played the audio for his classroom, and these kids probably they truly believed it.
Believed
You know
it.
what I mean? So very cool. Card Hub is saying, man, this is probably the best Kumu podcast I've ever seen. That's why we're on here. Thank you guys for joining us. This is a Hub 408 Card Hub, and we've been here. You know what I mean? I get it, Card Hub. I get you guys are here. I know Card Hub is on Filipino time, so sometimes we don't get to see your guys' comments or your not comments, your content. But I happened to be traveling to Los Angeles a couple of months ago, came across their stream, and I was enjoying it just because, of course, they're more of a sports card, basketball, sports stream that they have. But just seeing our interactions here, I bet next episode we can have a lot of fun. Jason, did you have a comment that?
Yeah, it's. I have one more reco.
Oh, see, there you go. What you got?
But it's for Ninja.
Okay. Not for us.
I know you. I know when you were at Disney World, you passed up on it, and I know it's like a $200 bill, but you have to do the lightsaber. It's about the build and the experience of it.
Well, he talked about that too, so you can.
I know it's a pricey thing, but
Yeah.
to me, it felt like it was worth it.
Hi, Marjorie.
That's how much. And the thing is, Joe Boss would agree with me too, because she got emotional.
Yeah.
I kind of did too. It's pretty crazy.
You guys are all crying over making lightsabers and shit. Like,
it's pretty cool, man. It's just it's the experience that you get.
I mean, that's what
So,
marks you as a Jedi, is you build your own lightsaber.
Yes, correct.
It's pretty cool.
We'll find
that's what I'm saying. It's
the correct kyber.
Whenever you get the chance to,
yeah.
That's my recommendation to you. You got to do it at least once.
If I ever go back and I have my corporate card to pay for it, I mean that's kind of the reason why I thought about doing it, was because I had like $200 on my card, and my CEO was like, "Yeah, I guess you could use it for that instead of food."
Yeah, don't eat for a day, dude. It would have been good. It would have been good. Oh, I do have one more recommendation, and I've watched it a whole bunch of times too. I feel really bad. I know Ninja would know the name. Who was the drummer that passed away from the Foo Fighters?
Taylor Hawkins.
Oh, there we go. Taylor Hawkins. Guys, go and please check out the tribute that I believe it was on MTV. It was a tribute to Taylor Hawkins. They had a whole bunch of stars in that playing, but the final song they play My Hero, and it has his son Taylor Hawkins playing the drums.
Yeah, on the drums.
Oh man, I gotta watch that.
I dare you to. You're gonna cry. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna fucking cry. And I will say, I mean, my favorite drummer is Dave Grohl, but this kid I think is better than Dave Grohl. Just the way that he was hitting, you can tell it was all the pain and hurt of losing a dad. And the way that he poured into those drums, I watched it maybe 6 times in a row, and I've even gone back and rewatched it, and you're just so heartbroken for the kid, but you're also like, fuck, this guy is badass. You know what I mean? And when you see like Pat Smear and Dave Grohl's face, like at the end of the actual, performance, even they're like,
Mhm.
they
Yeah,
have
yeah.
that face of like, what the fuck is going on right now? It's just so, so amazing. So
Mhm.
that's my final reco for the night. Guys, we gave you guys an hour and almost 30 minutes of extra content tonight. So next week, I believe we're going to be joined by cardhub.ph and their crew. So, hey, we're going to have a mashup here, and hopefully you guys come and have fun with us. Any last words, Jay and Ninja, before we sign off for the night?
Nope. I'm ready to go.
Tell them to stay safe, Ninja, and you can.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Stay safe, and if you can, go get the bivalent COVID
Yeah, mask up still.
booster.
Fucking dude, I think I'm the only one still masking up in San Jose. You feel me? Like I am I'm the only one masking up here still. I'm not trying to get chicken pox, I'm not trying to get measles, I'm not trying to get
Yeah. Uh-huh.
yeah. Yeah, I'm not trying to, I'm
For
not
sure.
falling
For sure.
I'm not
Yeah.
falling
Yeah.
for that stuff, so
Uh-huh.
what
Uh-huh.
about you, Jay? Any last words? Happy birthday also to Jason.
Oh,
It is his
thank
birthday
you.
today. How old of a fella are you now?
The same age as you are, 42.
Why'd you say it? Like,
Mhm.
yes. So I was gonna say thank you guys
But
for
but
joining us.
but
What's
it's an
up?
awesome number because if you add a zero next to it's 420. So
Oh, there you go.
That's what's up.
Yes, which is what I'm about to do. Because fuck, I've been here for now for like 3 hours and I need to get high.
Same.
Yes,
Same.
right. All right, guys, we are out of here. Thank you guys for joining us. To the people that joined and stuck with us this entire time, especially the Card Hub. I know Marjorie was in here for a majority of the time. Marjorie's probably like, damn, it's already 1 a.m. Marjorie, I know you were
Mhm.
probably
Mhm.
she wanted to listen to the Niners talk, probably. You know what I mean? She's a fan
yeah,
whenever we talk about the
Mhm.
Niners stuff. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? But we'll get into more stuff. There were other things that I wanted to bring up. Things like the new starting lineups. Have you guys seen that stuff? The new starting lineup toys. They are now $50 a pop. The Steph Curry, it looks fucking amazing. You know what I mean? I think I gotta buy it, but hey, maybe we'll get into a whole bunch of nerdy stuff, next week
I want to show what
regarding
I got
everything.
recently.
All right, what you get? Oh, dude, that's fucking badass, dude. Is that what you got out there?
No,
Oh
I got
man,
this
you purchased it
from
today?
Comic Con. Comic Con.
Oh man.
It was a Comic Con exclusive, so
All right. Well, there you go. I don't have anything to show here. Oh well, here since we were talking about Star Wars, this is my. What do you call this again? What do you call this again? What do you call this
I
again?
honestly don't remember what it's called.
But it's from Rogue One. I love it because you could actually put Nerf darts in here. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And you can shoot some Nerf darts out here. So there you go. I don't have too much toys and stuff, but then
I can't even
again,
show it. I can't show
yeah.
anything. Dang,
And I have
don't have anything.
my old GI Joe. I'm cleaning up my space right now, so I got a whole bunch of toys laying around me right now. So, hey, we're out of here, guys. Though we need to
Okay.
go. You know what I mean? Thank you, guys. This is a Hub 408 signing off. We will be back next week with episode 157. So again, take care, guys. Ingat sa lahat ng mga tao there. Pasensya na hindi ako nag Tagalog this entire time, but you'll get to hear it next week. So pasensya na. Ingat, guys. Take care, and we love y'all. Peace. All right. So I was gonna say, man, thank you guys, man, for doing this. It'll probably be fun with the next episode. We'll get some new blood on here. We'll get to know each other. I'll just say this: maybe for the next episode, let's get to know that other crew, get to know each other, and have fun, with them. Talk